Chapter 82. It turned out that this Heyang County magistrate was a brainless idiot. He listened to the rumors and thought that if he didn't immediately cremate the girls who were sucked of their blood, they would become zombies. Therefore, before Wan Xiang could arrive, he burned all the corpses of the murdered girls and killed all the witnesses who had seen the girls. When Wan Xiang came, he still said that he was helping the people get rid of evil. Wan Xiang was so angry that he almost killed that idiot with one palm. Now that idiot had been escorted back to the Ministry of Justice, he was going to let that idiot sit in jail for a long time. Was it the Su family? Yi Jiuge was most concerned about this question. I didn't find any evidence to prove that it was the Su family. Wan Xiang shook his head. Recently, Su Junqing had been as obedient as a baby. He didn't go out of the door, and those brothels that were suspected to be related to him were also very low-key. He didn't dare to buy or sell girls anymore because he couldn't find any clues. Yi Jiuge frowned. Su Junqing had always been a watertight person. If he wanted to hide, it would be even harder to find evidence against him. At this time, Yi Jiuge suddenly remembered something and quickly said, "Oh right, that nanny Su who fought with me in the palace yesterday, she is also a heretic cultivator." What? Bai Songling was shocked. He had heard about nanny Su from Aunt Hung Xiu. It was said that she was the confidant of the Empress. As long as it was related to human life, she would let nanny Su handle it. These years, countless palace maids and eunuchs died in the hands of nanny Su. Previously, they thought that the Empress wanted to establish her power, so she used such bloody methods. They didn't expect that she actually did it to let nanny Su practice martial arts. We must clearly investigate this nanny Su's background. Wan Xiang's sculpted features were as solemn as a stone statue. Ever since he saw those girls who were tortured to death by the heretic cultivators in the basement, he hated heretic cultivators and wanted to catch them all in one fell swoop. I always feel that this nanny Su is not simple. You guys investigate carefully, maybe you can find something. But you guys also have to be careful. Although she is only a high-level soul master, she has cultivated half a body protection aura. She is not so easy to deal with. Yi Jiuge recalled the battle with nanny Su. If Aunt Hong Xiu had not invited Emperor Xian Wu over in time, she would have suffered a great loss. She's even cultivated a protective spiritual light. Bai Songling had a bad feeling about this. He and Wan Xiang were intermediate spiritualists, but they were exceptionally gifted and cultivated unique spiritual powers, hence they were not inferior to advanced spiritualists. But if Senior Nurse Su had already cultivated a protective spiritual light, even if the two of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be her match. You don't have to worry. These evil cultivators cultivate the resentment and death aura of humans. As long as it's something with sufficient yang qi, it will be able to restrain them. Yi Jiuge remembered what Zi Shang had told her before. What is an item with abundant yang qi? Bai Songling asked. If it was not difficult to obtain, he was prepared to keep a dozen by his side in case of emergencies. It's probably prayer beads for Buddhist cultivators, talismans for Taoist priests, peachwood swords, black dog blood, and the like. Yi Jiuge recalled the zombie films she had watched in the past. These seemed to be the treasures used to exorcise evil spirits. There are no Buddhist cultivators or Taoist priests in our Thunder Nation. What is a black dog? A spirit beast? Bai Songling asked in confusion. There were temples and monks in the Thunder Nation, but they were not cultivators. This was because to become a Buddhist cultivator, one must go to the Heaven Zen Mountain in the west to be enlightened by a Buddhist cultivator. After becoming a Buddhist cultivator, one would have to deliver all living beings from suffering. The cultivation process was extremely arduous and could not be achieved by sitting in a temple and chanting scriptures. The Taoist priests gathered at the Green Cloud Mountain in the east, which was thousands of miles away from the Thunder Nation. As for the black dog, sorry, there were no such spirit beasts in the Thunder Nation. They could only be found at the 10,000 Beast Mountain. Yi Jiuge thought that spiritual power was the most important thing on this continent. She did not expect so many forces to occupy this continent. Indeed, the world was big and full of strange things. She had only seen the tip of the iceberg. "Oh yes, we do have peach wood, but I don't know how to make it into a sword," Wan Ziang said. "They could not just chop off the peach branches from the trees and use them, right? Wouldn't the evil cultivators be too weak? I've only heard about it. I'm not too sure how to do it." Yi Jioga regretted that she had only focused on the mission in the past and had never learned about exorcism. Idiot. Zi Shang could not stand it anymore and took the initiative to say, "The two of them are full of yang qi, so they don't need to look for black dog blood. When they encounter the evil cultivators, they just need to bite the tip of their tongues and spit out their spirit blood to defeat them." Especially Wan Ziang, his spirit root was the most powerful fire spirit root, the thunderbolt fire, which had a natural suppressive effect on evil cultivators. However, his cultivation level was not high enough, which was why he was suppressed by the evil cultivators. When he was successful in his cultivation, he would be able to burn all the filthy things with the thunderbolt fire. Yi Jioga hurriedly conveyed Zi Shang's words to them. "Thank you, Lady Yi, for telling us." Bai Songling and Wan Ziang were not afraid of the evil cultivators, but they were uneasy about the unknown. Now that they knew that they could restrain them, they felt a little more confident. "It's getting late. Let's stop here today. If there's any news in the future, let's contact each other," Yi Jioga said. They had been talking for more than an hour and had almost finished talking about everything that needed to be talked about. "Do you want us to give you a ride?" Wan Ziang asked. "No need." Yi Jioga was not a child, so she did not need anyone to send her off. She got on the carriage and returned to Purple Forest Park. She found that the fifth aunt and Yi Rui were already waiting inside. "Miss, your face." The fifth aunt was shocked when she saw Yi Jioga's face. "Father hit me." Yi Jioga sat down and prepared to give the mother and daughter a good lesson. "How could father do this to you?" Yi Rui raised her eyebrows, and her cute little face was full of anger. Big sister was the person she admired the most. No one could bully her, not even her father. "I can't help it. I didn't listen to him and kowtow to the Empress and the Crown Prince to apologize." Yi Jioga sighed, pretending to be sad and wronged. The fifth aunt opened her mouth, but did not know how to comfort her. No one knew better than her how violent Yi Yuxuan was. She had been kicked by Yi Yuxuan last time, and her body had not recovered yet. Yi Rui said angrily, "Big sister didn't do anything wrong. Why should you apologize to the Empress and the Crown Prince?" Kowtowing to apologize? Father was too humiliating. It was the Crown Prince who had hooked up with second sister, hated big sister, and even wanted to kill her. Father clearly knew that it was not big sister's fault, but he still blamed it all on big sister. He could not tell right from wrong, good from evil. He was a father in vain. Chapter 83. In Father's eyes, there is no kinship, only benefits. No matter how good he is to you now, he is just using you, understand? Yi Jioga didn't want to teach Yi Rui so quickly. But what happened before had made her know that the Yi family was vicious, even children were not let off. Instead of letting Yi Rui die in confusion, it was better to let her grow up and find a way to protect herself, instead of foolishly selling herself to Yi Yuxuan. The fifth aunt felt that such a dark matter shouldn't be told to her daughter. Just as she was about to dissuade her, she saw Yi Rui nodding her head vigorously. "I know, father just wants me to help him concoct pills." Although Yi Rui was young, she grew up suffering. Some time ago, she experienced a terrifying kidnapping incident, so her mind had begun to mature. She already knew who was really treating her and who was just pretending. Good little sister, just keep it in your heart. Don't ever show it in front of father. Otherwise, big sister will end up like you tomorrow. Yi Jioga purposely put his terrifying pig head in front of Yi Rui. "Big sister, does it hurt?" Yi Rui sniffled, tears welling up in her eyes. She wanted to touch Yi Jioga's face but didn't dare to. "It's okay, it doesn't hurt anymore." Yi Jioga saw that the little girl was crying and felt a little embarrassed. Oh right, I made a medicine for you. See if it can be used. Yi Rui turned around and took out a small jade bottle from the gifts on the table. She said shyly, this is my first time concocting pills, I don't know if it's good or not. Okay, I'll try. Yi Jioge opened the jade bottle and smelled it. The smell of medicine was quite strong, but the heat was a bit lacking. But for a little girl who was concocting pills for the first time, it was already very good. Wood and fire spirit roots were different, no wonder Yi Yuxuan treasured it so much. Rui heard that you were beaten by master yesterday, so she immediately made this medicine. The fifth aunt said. Her daughter's first concoction wasn't for her, nor for master, but for Big Miss. It was impossible for her not to feel sour. But on second thought, the first miss was very affectionate and loyal to them. She had saved them from danger several times. Her daughter always thought of Big Miss, and was also a grateful person. If a person knew how to be grateful, they wouldn't be that bad. Thinking of this, she felt a little better. Little girl, at least you have a conscience. Yi Jioge tapped Yi Rui's forehead, and then said to Mother Qing, bring me the pill refining manual that I prepared. During this period of time, Yi Jioge had been sorting out his alchemy insights. On one hand, he was revising, and on the other hand, he wanted to leave it for Yi Rui to see. Although Yi Yuxuan gave her a lot of alchemy books, the contents were too obscure. It was too difficult for a 7-year-old girl. She had purposely written it in plain Mandarin so that Yi Rui could compare with it. She believed that Yi Rui would improve a lot. Thank you, big sister. Yi Rui took the handwritten notes and couldn't wait to read them. After reading a few lines, he was immediately captivated. Today was her first time concocting medicine, so she encountered many problems. After looking through the pill book her father had given her, she still didn't understand much. Now that he saw the letter from Big Sister, he immediately came to a realization. It was as if he had been enlightened. She even had a feeling that Big Sister was even more powerful than her father. Alright, go back and read it again. Don't disturb eldest young mistress's rest, fifth mistress advised softly. This daughter of hers would become obsessed with alchemy books and would not listen no matter what she said. Oh. Yi Rui's eyes were still glued to the book. Without raising her head, she said to Yi Jioge, big sister, then rest well. Little sister will come and see you again when I'm free. When you go back, you are not allowed to waste your time reading. Otherwise, I will confiscate all of these handwritten notes. Yi Jioge took the book from her hand and threatened. I understand. Big sister, please return the book to me. Yi Rui said pitifully. She originally wanted to stay up late to finish reading Big Sister's handwritten notes. But after hearing these words, she didn't dare to do so. Eldest young mistress, you have helped this concubine greatly, fifth mistress said gratefully. Rui, this girl was getting more and more disobedient as she grew older. Only Yi Jioge was able to control her. Go back and read well. If there's anything you don't understand, come and ask me. Yi Jioge rubbed Yi Rui's head and asked Mother Qing to send them out. In the next few days, Yi Jioge used the excuse of recuperating to close the door and refused to meet anyone. When Yi Yuxuan heard the rumors outside, he came to find her. He was also blocked outside and was so angry that he almost tore down Purple Forest Park. But he was still almost there. Right now, the rumors outside were in chaos. They all said that he sold his daughter to gain the favor of the Empress and the Crown Prince. Many of his alchemy colleagues were secretly laughing at him. Now, he didn't dare to make a move against Yi Jioge. Unfortunately, the Crown Prince urged him every day. He might as well write a letter and directly tell the Crown Prince that Yi Jioge was unwilling to marry him as a side concubine and that he should think of a way himself. In the Feni Palace. After the Crown Prince conveyed Yi Yuxuan's words, he tactfully said, Mother, Yi Jioge is like a stone in a latrine pit, smelly and hard. It's impossible for him to marry this son as a side concubine. If this suggestion hadn't been raised by the Empress, he wouldn't have asked Yi Yuxuan even if he was beaten to death. Ben Gong is merely testing Yi Yuxuan's attitude. The Empress indifferently said, as long as he is willing to help you, it doesn't matter if he succeeds or not. Mother is wise. The Crown Prince immediately flattered. The Empress picked up a celadone teacup and moistened her throat before asking, what does the Su family say about Su Yufeng and her daughter? This mother and daughter pair had been confined by Yi Yuxuan for so long, yet the Su family hadn't said a single word. It was truly strange. This son has asked Su Junqing. His meaning is that it's not time yet. When the Crown Prince thought of that brat Su Junqing, he felt angry. At that time, he had even probed Su Junqing about Yi Yu and the treasure map. In the end, Su Junqing didn't know anything. He even had the face to complain tearfully that his medicine storehouse on the western Main Street had suffered heavy losses and wanted the Crown Prince to compensate him. He wished he could give Su Junqing a slap. If it weren't for the fact that he still had use for Su Junqing, he would definitely have found someone to behead Su Junqing. Old Master Su should be coming out of seclusion soon, the Empress said pensively. If Old Master Su succeeded in breaking through to the spiritual master level, he would have the confidence to support Su Yufeng and her daughter. That should be the case. The Crown Prince nodded. He had also thought of this point, which was why he hadn't acted against Su Junqing. What about Dongfang Ke? The Empress asked again. During this period of time, he has been in close contact with the Bai family. It seems like he's looking for something. However, the news is very well hidden, so we can't find out what it is. We only know that it's a few spiritual medicines. The Crown Prince didn't really care about this matter. These past few years, the Bai family had been thinking of all sorts of ways to cure Dongfang Quebec. As long as they heard that it was a useful spiritual medicine, they wouldn't let it go. After stopping them a few times and losing a few batches of people, they were too lazy to care anymore. Chapter 84. Yes. The Empress didn't care about the Bai family and asked about something else. What has that damned girl, Yi Jioga, been doing recently? The Crown Prince's heart skipped a beat. He looked at the Empress carefully and replied, I heard she's recuperating at home. Recuperating? Recuperating? The Empress asked curiously. She lived in the back of the palace and wasn't well informed. The people around her didn't dare spread rumors to her, so she still didn't know that Yi Jioga had tricked her. Yi Jioga was beaten by Yi Yuxuan after returning home. I heard it was very bad. His face is swollen like a pig's head. I'm afraid he's going to be disfigured. The Crown Prince was very happy when he heard about it. Yi Jioga's face was already full of scars. How could he show his face after being beaten up? Idiot. The Empress's delicate brows were slightly twisted. She was obviously extremely angry. He was beaten right after leaving the palace. Wasn't this telling everyone that she was unhappy with him? The Crown Prince didn't say anything. The rumors outside were very bad. He was trying to put out the fire and didn't dare tell the Empress at all. The Empress quickly suppressed her anger and ordered the Crown Prince, forget it. Let's deal with this later. The alchemy conference is about to begin. Remember to prepare in advance. Yes. The Crown Prince nodded respectfully but felt a little strange. The alchemy conference was held every year. The ones who won were always the scions of the aristocratic families. What was there to prepare? But since the Empress had ordered him, he could only do as she said. I'm tired. You can leave. After the Empress sent the Crown Prince away, she sat on the phoenix throne and closed her eyes in deep thought. Night fell slowly, and the magnificent hall was plunged into darkness. Without the Empress's order, the maids didn't dare to come in and light the lamps. Nanny Su appeared silently in front of the Empress, with a faint smell of blood on her. Is everything done? The Empress closed her eyes and gently rubbed her temples. Don't worry, Your Highness. Those talkative maids have been dealt with, Nanny Su said respectfully. Her murky old eyes still had a faint red glow. It was a state where the evil skill hadn't dissipated. That's right, Yi Jioga is only at the primary stage of cultivation. How could you be injured by her? Could it be that she really has some sort of treasure on her? The Empress slightly opened her eyes. That day in Jinxiu Palace, Nanny Su hurriedly went into closed-door cultivation after being tricked by Yi Jioge. He only came out today after absorbing the blood of several palace maids and eunuchs. That was why she didn't have the chance to ask about this until now. Although that damned girl's cultivation is not high, she cultivates the most orthodox lightning spiritual power. She is also sinister and cunning, and is good at using poison. This old servant was not paying attention and fell into her trap. Nanny Su said bitterly, but that wicked girl has no ability. If the emperor hadn't suddenly appeared, I was confident that I could have killed her on the spot. So, that damned girl doesn't have any treasures on her? The Empress asked. I really didn't find any treasure on her, Nanny Su replied honestly. The Empress frowned slightly. She had seen the situation at the time. Yi Jioge was at the end of his rope. If he really had something that could save his life, he wouldn't have hidden it. Maybe that damned girl was just lucky. Oh right, Your Highness, my senior sent a message saying that he has already left River Yang County and will probably arrive in Shangjing a few days before the alchemy conference. Nanny Su mentioned another matter. Got it. I will get the Crown Prince to receive him. Oh right, tell him to restrain himself and don't cause any trouble, the Empress warned. She had helped them clean up enough messes over the years. Yes, this old servant will try to pass on your message. Nanny Su bowed. That senior of hers was not someone to be trifled with. He would probably treat her words as farts. Forget it, she was only responsible for passing on the message. The rest was up to him. If there's nothing else, you can leave. The Empress waved her hand. Yes. Nanny Su slowly retreated and disappeared into the darkness. At this moment, Yi Jioge was frowning. She sat in front of the dressing mirror and looked at the scars on her face with deep hatred. As the bruises on her face gradually disappeared, the black scars also fell off. She could already see a small patch of white and delicate skin near her forehead. Looking at the way the black scars fell off, she reckoned that when the wounds on her face were completely healed, she would return to her true appearance. Damn, this was not what she wanted. Zishang, tell me honestly, what did you do to me? Yi Jioge asked seriously. Nothing. Zishang replied lazily. He just didn't like the black scars on Yi Jioge's face and accidentally knocked them off. Humph, don't lie to me. You must want to turn me into a peerless beauty. When the wild wind and lascivious butterflies pounce on me, you can blame it on me and find an excuse to punish me. Yi Jioge suspected that this perverted snake was addicted to punishment and deliberately set a trap for her. Little Jioge is really smart. Next time, let's change the method of punishment, okay? Zishang's low and charming laughter rang out. It was like a feather brushing against the tip of her ear. She couldn't help but tremble. Okay, my ass. Yi Jioge's words were hard but her heart was soft. Although the result of the punishment last time was very comfortable, the process was painful. She didn't want to go through it again. Then it's settled. Zishang ignored Yi Jioge's refusal and said that he would definitely make her more satisfied next time. Pervert. Yi Jioge fiercely spat in her heart. At this time, Mother Qing knocked on the door and happily said, Eldest Miss, Lord Bai Songling sent an invitation. He invites you to the Yu Wu Tea House's ice and snow private room in the afternoon. She knew that Eldest Miss was charming. That bastard crown prince must be blind to not see Eldest Miss's good side. Got it. Yi Jioge picked up the charcoal pen on the table and painted the exposed white skin on her forehead. Only then did she change her clothes and wear a curtain hat. This time, she didn't take off the curtain hat. The waiter who received her probably already received the order and quickly brought her to the ice and snow private room. Other than Bai Songling, Dongfang Ke was also sitting inside. He sat in a wheelchair and wore a light green brocade robe embroidered with bamboo leaves. His hair was tied up in a jade crown and he looked extremely handsome. His originally gloomy black eyes couldn't help but light up the moment Yi Jioge walked in. His handsome and outstanding face seemed to be covered in a layer of dazzling light. This brat must have taken a fancy to you. Zishang saw through Dongfang K's thoughts with a glance. Damn you, last time you also said that Wan Xiang had taken a fancy to me. Are you crazy? Yi Jioge silently rolled her eyes at Zishang in her heart. Her expression was normal as she greeted Dongfang Quebec. I didn't think that your highness would also be here. It can't be a coincidence, right? No, I specifically asked Bai Songling to invite you out. Dongfang Ke couldn't invite Yi Jioge, so he could only ask Bai Songling for help. Chapter 85. I see. Yi Jioge glanced at Bai Songling. This guy was really ungrateful, he didn't even tell him in advance. Ahem, actually, His Highness wants to ask you about the 5th stage fire dragon grass. Bai Songling smiled awkwardly. He originally wanted to tell Yi Jioge in advance, but Dongfang Ke didn't let him, saying that he was afraid Yi Jioge wouldn't come if she knew. What a joke, with Yi Jioge's fierce personality, how could he be afraid of him? Dongfang Ke continued Bai Songling's topic, and asked, Miss Yi, may I know where the 5th stage fire dragon grass grows? Although he had already sent the news back to the Bai clan, it was still very difficult to find a 5th stage spirit grass in this vast mountain. The fire dragon grass likes the sun and has a strong nature. It likes to grow near volcanoes or places where lava flows. Yi Jioge had painstakingly gotten this information from Zishang. Volcanoes? Lava? Dongfang Ke was slightly stunned. What was that? It's a volcano that spits fire, and a red river flows out from it. It's even hotter than molten iron, Yi Jioge explained. There's actually such a magical mountain in this world? Bai Songling felt that it was very unbelievable. The area around Shangjing was mostly plains, and there were very few mountains, let alone volcanoes. Dongfang Ke muttered to himself for a moment before saying, I've read a passage in a travel book before. It says that to the south of the river, thousands of miles away, there is a volcano that can spew out a red river. Wherever it passes, plants wither and birds and beasts die. Could it be the volcano and lava you mentioned? It should be. Yi Jioge nodded. She had never seen the volcanoes on these 1,000 continents, so she couldn't be sure. When Bai Songling heard that it was thousands of miles south of the river, he couldn't help but sigh. Transportation was not very developed these days. People used horses to travel, and there were very few who had spirit beasts. A journey of thousands of miles would take more than half a year even on planes. If they encountered a dangerous mountain, it would be even worse. Thank you, Miss Yi, for telling me. Dongfang Ke thanked her indifferently. As long as there was hope, he would definitely find it. Your Highness is too polite. Yi Jioge smiled and asked, Your Highness, you didn't ask me out just to talk about this, right? That's right. Seeing that Yi Jioge was easy to talk to, Dongfang Ke didn't hide anything and directly said his purpose, I came to ask you to help me save someone. Who? Yi Jioge asked curiously. For Dongfang Ke to personally come and beg her, this person should not be simple. A woman who can fight against the Empress, Dongfang Ke said solemnly. Who is it? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows in surprise. It was amazing that there was still a woman who could fight against the ruthless Empress. Noble consort she, Dongfang Ke said word by word. So it's her. Yi Jioge suddenly realized. This imperial concubine, she was very famous. She was of noble birth and was the Empress Dowager's grandniece, which meant that she was Emperor Xian Wu's cousin. It was said that not only was she unparalleled in beauty, but she was also considerate, gentle, and very considerate. At that time, the Empress Dowager originally wanted to make imperial concubine she the legal concubine of Emperor Xian Wu, who had not yet ascended the throne. Afterwards, imperial concubine she took the initiative to become a concubine and gave the position of legal concubine to the current Empress Shui. Emperor Xian Wu successfully ascended the throne with the support of the Shui family. After Bai Linglong entered the palace, imperial concubine Shi also took good care of her. When Emperor Xianwu proposed Bai Linglong to be the imperial concubine, Bai Linglong refused, saying that imperial concubine Shi was more qualified than her. Afterwards, it was imperial concubine Shi who personally persuaded Bai Linglong to be the imperial concubine, and imperial concubine Shi was promoted to imperial concubine. The two of them were like sisters and served Emperor Xianwu together. This became a story that spread. Afterwards, Bai Linglong died of illness and imperial concubine Shi also fell ill. After that, there was no news of her. Some people said that she went to the imperial temple to accompany the ancient Buddha. Imperial concubine Shi and my imperial mother were like sisters. Not long after my imperial mother passed away, she contracted a strange disease. Her face was full of tumors, and even the spirit doctors couldn't cure it. She went to the imperial temple to help guard the ancestors' graves. If you can cure her strange disease, she can return to the palace, Dongfang Ke said. He wasn't sure if his imperial mother was the woman his father loved the most, but he was sure that imperial concubine Shi was the woman his father respected the most. Okay, I'll cure it, Yi Jioga said without hesitation. As long as she could cause trouble for the empress, she was willing to pay for it, let alone cure someone. Imperial concubine Shi is in my residence now, she can see you anytime. The first thing Dongfang Ke did after coming out of the palace was to send a letter to the imperial temple to ask imperial concubine Shi to come out. Imperial concubine Shi originally refused, but after hearing that Yi Jioga had received the true teachings of Yunwei Si and could even cure the demon poison in her body, she agreed to give it a try. Then let's go now. Yi Jioga said impatiently. The sooner imperial concubine Shi's illness was cured, the sooner they could stab the empress. Not many people know that imperial concubine Shi has entered the capital. In order to prevent the news from spreading, I'll have to trouble eldest Miss Yi to follow me through the secret passage, Dongfang Ke said cautiously. Sure, Yi Jioga nodded. She originally thought that the secret passage was outside, but she didn't expect that Bai Songling would take down a painting of admiring plum blossoms from the wall of the private room and forcefully push down a floor tile, revealing a passage. This Yuwu tea house is His Highness' property, Bai Songling explained. So that's how it is. Yi Jioga discovered that Dongfang Ke was really a maniac for secret passages. It was fine that the splendid palace had a secret passage, but he didn't even let go of a tea house. Just how many more secrets did he have? Eldest Miss Yi, please. Bai Songling called out, then pushed Dongfang Ke's wheelchair into the secret passage. Yi Jioga followed behind them, and after walking for about the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, they finally arrived at a residence behind the Wang residence. Following this, Yi Jioga changed into the cloak that Dongfang Ke had prepared, and followed them into the Wang residence through the back door. Following the long corridor, they arrived in front of a remote courtyard. The doors and windows of this courtyard were tightly shut, the flowers and trees in the courtyard were withered, and there wasn't a single person in sight. It was hard to imagine that someone like imperial concubine Shi would live in such a place. Nanny Zhou, I'll have to trouble you to help this prince pass a message. Just say that this prince has already brought young lady Yi. Dongfang Ke called out softly from the door. It could be seen that he was very respectful towards this noble consort Shi. The door creaked open. A short and fat, amiable-looking Momo bowed towards Dongfang Ke and said softly, "This servant greets your highness." The empress said to let eldest Miss Yi enter by herself. All right. Dongfang Ke looked apologetically towards Yi Jioga and said softly, "Ever since imperial concubine Shi fell ill, she hasn't been very willing to see people." Yi Jioga could understand that no matter which peerless beauty it was, after becoming ugly, she wouldn't want others to see her. Chapter 86. Miss Yi, please. Nanny Zhou bowed to Yi Jioga and turned to go in. Yi Jioga followed her into the room. The room wasn't big, but the furnishings inside were extremely exquisite. The furniture was all made of good mahogany. Although there were palace lanterns hanging in the four corners of the room, the light was still very dim. There was a peony incense burner in the corner, and smoke curled up. There was also a bit of rotten smell in the incense. If one didn't smell it carefully, they wouldn't be able to smell it. Nanny Zhou brought Yi Jioga to the bead curtain at the door of the inner room. The bead curtain was all made of thumb-sized southern beads. Under the light, it shone with a warm light. It could be said to be extremely luxurious. It could be seen that this imperial concubine, she was a person who lived an exquisite life. It was probably related to her noble voice. Nanny Zhou didn't immediately bring Yi Jioga in. Instead, she bowed outside the bead curtain and said, "Imperial concubine, Miss Yi is here. And, you may leave." A clear and elegant voice came from inside. "Yes." Nanny Zhou bowed and went out quietly. Yi Jioga stood in front of the bead curtain. He didn't know whether to go in or out. He felt inexplicably awkward. Fortunately, imperial concubine, she quickly spoke. "Miss Yi, I heard that you used to be a famous waste in Shangjing. How did you suddenly become enlightened?" Although imperial concubine Shi's words were very impolite, her voice was gentle, so Yi Jioga couldn't be angry. "That's just the misunderstanding of Shangjing people," Yi Jioga replied indifferently. She couldn't delve into her background, so it was better to let people guess her in the clouds. "Hee, your answer is quite like Master Yun's style." Imperial concubine, she smiled lightly. "You've seen my grandfather?" Yi Jioga asked strangely. According to the time when imperial concubine she got sick, grandfather should have already left Shangjing. "I once met Master Yun in the imperial temple. Unfortunately, Master Yun was in a hurry and only left a pill for me before leaving. I waited in the imperial temple for so many years, but he didn't come back." Imperial concubine Shi's tone was filled with resentment. At that time, her heart was already dead and she just wanted to wait for death. Master Yun gave her hope, but then he disappeared for more than 10 years. She looked forward to it day after day. That kind of torment was really worse than death. "Noble consort Shi, can you tell me what happened at that time?" Yi Jioga had been tracking down his grandfather for a long time and finally found some useful clues. He was a little excited. "No." Imperial consort Shi smiled and said, "Unless you can cure this consort's illness." "Okay." If Yi Jioga had only used 80% of his effort before, now he was using 12%. "Then come in." "Noble consort," she said. Yi Jioga lifted the bead curtain and walked in. The lights inside were even dimmer, with only 2 beautiful palace lanterns illuminating the doorway. The beauty in the painting shone in the candlelight, and her lips, which were painted scarlet, were particularly eye-catching. The smell of the incense became even stronger. It was so strong that it almost made people cry. Of course, the rancid smell became even stronger. Noble consort She was sitting at the table. She wore a light red gauze dress, and her figure was very graceful. Sitting there without moving, she exuded a kind of graceful feeling, comparable to a young girl. It was said that noble consort She was very good at dancing. Her wind's spiritual power allowed her to dance on the lake. Those who saw her dance would undoubtedly worship her as a goddess. At this moment, her face was covered with a veil, only revealing a pair of clear and beautiful eyes. It was like the surface of a lake in spring, reflecting the infinite spring scenery, making people intoxicated with just one look. "Sit." Noble consort She gently called out to Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga sat in front of her, and the rancid smell hidden in the incense became even stronger. It was obvious that it came from noble consort Shi. Yi Jioga's expression didn't change as he said to noble consort Shi, "Lady, can you please stretch out your hand and let me take your pulse?" "Sure." Noble consort She placed her hand on the table. Her exposed wrist was as white jade, tender and smooth to the touch. It was even more well-maintained than a young girl's hand. Yi Jioga calmed down and helped her take her pulse. He saw that her pulse was heavy, only beating once after a long time, as if it was being suppressed by something. This kind of pulse was only the pulse of an old person whose internal organs were starting to deteriorate. It could be said that it was no different from a dead person. The other hand. Yijioga gave noble consort Shi another hand to take her pulse. Unexpectedly, the pulse of this hand was fast and thin, like the sound of horse hooves. Two hands, completely different pulse. This was simply unheard of. Did Miss Yi see anything? Noble consort She asked indifferently. There wasn't a trace of expectation in her tone, and it was obvious that she didn't trust her very much. Lady, can you let me see your face with the early summer veil? Yijioga said. She already had a guess in her heart, but she still needed to verify it. No. Imperial concubine She refused indifferently, unless you can tell me what illness I have, you can go out directly. Lady Shi, you're poisoned. Yijioga said without hesitation. Impossible. Noble consort She shook her head and put away her hand. She said coldly, I also thought that I was poisoned before, but after visiting all the spirit doctors in the world and eating countless antidotes, they all said that I had a strange disease, not poison. That's because they couldn't find the cause of the poisoning. Yijioga said with certainty. Hee hee. Noble consort She couldn't help but laugh, then said in a sarcastic tone, these spirit doctors included your grandfather. He all said that I wasn't poisoned. Are you going to refute your grandfather's words? This was a bit awkward. Yijioga had always claimed that he had received his grandfather's medical skills. Now that he was overturning his grandfather's words, wasn't that slapping his own mouth? She thought for a moment and then said, my grandfather's medical skills are better than mine, so he must have his reasons for his diagnosis. I can't see him now, so I don't know what he is basing his diagnosis on, but from my perspective, you are poisoned. Noble consort She was silent for a moment, then chuckled and said, actually, your grandfather didn't even have time to take my pulse before he left in a hurry. Yijioga was really curious about the scene at that time, but seeing noble consort Shi's attitude, it was impossible for her to tell him. He could only helplessly say, Lady, the most important thing to cure a disease is to be sure of the true condition. If I wasn't firm enough, wouldn't I be delaying your illness? If you weren't firm enough, you wouldn't be worthy of being Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter, much less treating me. Noble consort She said. That was just a test she gave Yijioga. She had experienced too many disappointments over the years, and she didn't want to be disappointed again. Chapter 87. Then can I look at your face now? Yijioga wasn't angry. She knew that people who had been sick for a long time would have strange temperaments. Imperial consort She was actually very cultured. Yes, but let me remind you, it's best if you show an expression that you shouldn't. My temper isn't good, so I might get angry. Imperial consort She said gently. Yes. Yijioga had seen all kinds of storms, so Imperial consort Shi's words didn't scare her. Imperial consort She raised her jade-like right hand and slowly took off the left button of her veil. As the veil moved, the left side of her face was gradually revealed. Her skin was as smooth as jade, without a single wrinkle. She was beautiful and noble, like an inviolable fairy. Yijioga's gaze followed the movement of Imperial consort Shi's veil. When she saw the right side of her face, even though she was mentally prepared, she still couldn't help but tremble. A disgusting feeling welled up in her heart, but she forcefully suppressed it. Imperial consort Shi's right face was filled with small yellow lumps. It was filled with pustules, and many of the lumps had already burst, flowing out yellowish-white pus with traces of blood. Some of the skin had even festered into pits, emitting a very strong stench, like a corpse rotting in a smelly ditch. It could be said that the more beautiful Imperial consort Shi's left face was, the more disgusting her right face was. The strong contrast and conflict between the two made one unable to look directly at it. Yijioga quickly calmed herself down and opened her spiritual eye to carefully examine Imperial consort Shi's face. In the range of his spiritual eye, he saw that there was green spirit energy flowing under the left side of Imperial Consort Shi's face, but the meridians on the right side of her face were all blocked by black particles. Not to mention spirit energy, even blood couldn't flow. If it weren't for the faint purple spiritual light in her heart meridian that was constantly sending miracles to the right side of her face wouldn't just be rotting and oozing pus. Instead, it would have been reduced to bones. Imperial Consort Shi stared at Yi Jyoga's eyes, waiting for her to reveal an expression of disgust, or shock. However, she didn't expect her to quickly restrain all her emotions and look at her face like she was studying something. She had only seen this expression on an old spirit doctor's face before. At that time, he was treating a sick child. That old spirit doctor was the only person who could help her suppress her illness, but it was a pity that he passed away very quickly. Later, his disciple inherited his medical skills and continued to treat her. Although his disciple's medical skills weren't great, it was still passable. Yi Jyoga was so young, yet he had the essence of that old spirit doctor. Noble consort, she was very surprised. Just this point alone was enough to let her heart, which had been silent for a long time, finally give birth to a trace of hope. Empress, may I ask, what kind of pills did you consume previously? Yi Jyoga finally confirmed the cause of her illness. He closed his spiritual eye and inquired carefully. Her current cultivation level was not high enough, and opening her spirit essence for a long period of time would harm her. You've been taking pills to promote blood circulation and remove blood stasis. Your face is also covered with that kind of ointment. Which old spirit doctor had prescribed these for her? Although it couldn't cure her, it greatly alleviated her pain. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to endure it for so many years. Can you show me the ointment? Yi Jyoga said. Sure. Noble consort, she stood up and took out an exquisite white porcelain bottle from the cabinet and placed it in front of Yi Jyoga. Yi Jyoga opened the bottle and saw that it was filled with a dark green ointment that emitted a faint smell of grass. She sniffed it carefully, then used her hand to pick it up and tested it. Finally, she said with certainty, this ointment is the thing that caused your illness to worsen. What? Noble consort, she thought that she had heard wrongly. I don't know who gave you this ointment, but I can only say that they weren't saving you, they were harming you. Yi Jyoga said word by word. How is that possible? Noble consort, she didn't believe him and said, previously, my face was rotting very badly and my entire body was sore and painful. It was only after I used this spirit doctor's prescription that I started to slowly get better. Did you have the symptoms just now because you ate the pill my grandfather gave you? Yi Jyoga asked back. Noble consort, she slowly nodded, as if she had realized something. The pill that my grandfather gave you was to detoxify the poison in your body. If you had waited for your rotten flesh to fall off and then considered finding a reliable spirit doctor to detoxify the remaining poison in your body, you would have slowly gotten better. Yi Jyoga sighed. Noble consort, she shouldn't have suffered for so many years. However, she didn't believe in her grandfather and ran to believe in other spirit doctors, which was why all her efforts were in vain. Noble consort, she's expression was wooden. She remembered that before the old spirit doctor died, he looked at her anxiously but couldn't say a word. At that time, she thought that he was regretting not being able to continue treating her. Now that she thought about it, the old spirit doctor was repenting before he died. That's not right. Noble consort, she frowned. She remembered that when she first used the old spirit doctor's medicine, her face still continued to fester, but it wasn't as itchy. Later, the old spirit doctor suddenly changed the prescription and died a few days later. Then, his disciple appeared and continued to use the old spirit doctor's modified prescription to treat her. In that case, the old spirit doctor was harmed because of her, and that disciple was the culprit that caused her illness to worsen. Xue Mingzhu, that damned bitch, actually chased her all the way to the royal temple and deliberately continued to harm her. Xue Mingzhu, if you don't die, I won't be able to rest in peace. Noble consort, she gritted her teeth, her face distorted. The pustules on the right side of her face instantly burst, and blood splattered everywhere. It looked extremely terrifying. Yijioga saw that noble consort Shi's situation wasn't right and felt a little anxious. He quickly inserted 2 needles into her huku and gugu acupoints. Noble consort Shi opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, and her expression gradually eased. She took out a palace handkerchief and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She looked at Yijioga gratefully and said in a low voice, "Thank you." If Yijioga hadn't helped her force out this mouthful of blood, she would have fainted on the spot. "Your Highness, it's not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. As long as the poison in your body is slowly treated, there's still hope for you to recover your appearance. There's no hurry to take revenge then," Yijioga advised. "You have a way to cure my poison?" Noble consort Shi was stunned. When she heard Yijioga's tone just now, she thought that she had missed Great Master Yun's antidote and was already incurable. "Although it's a little difficult, it's not impossible. If your Highness believes me, I'm willing to give it a try." Yijioga had deliberately misled noble consort Shi just now. She was already incurable. Because noble consort Shi was too arrogant, if he didn't suppress her, she probably wouldn't listen to him. It was very difficult to cure a disobedient patient. Chapter 88. I believe you. As long as you can cure me, I'll give you anything. Imperial consort Shi finally took off her arrogant mask and revealed the weakness of a patient. "I don't want anything, I just want you to rest well. You just spat out blood, so you should rest well. We'll talk when you wake up," Yijioga said gently. "You're leaving?" Imperial consort Shi's eyes were filled with panic. Master Yun's sudden departure had left a shadow in her heart. "I'm going to discuss the prescription with His Highness. Some spirit herbs might be hard to get, so I need to think of a way. But don't worry, as long as you wake up, call me and I'll be back." Yijioga knew that Imperial consort Shi was at her weakest and had to be comforted patiently. "Okay." Imperial consort Shi nodded. She also felt tired, so she called Zhou Momo to come in and help her rest. Only then did Yijioga walk out of the room. Dongfang Ke was still waiting outside. His straight back was as sturdy as a pine tree. Seeing Yijioga come out, his handsome face couldn't help but reveal an expectant expression. "How was it? Is your Highness planning to talk to me about Her Highness's illness here?" Yijioga didn't want Imperial consort Shi to know. Dongfang Ke immediately understood and said, "I've already prepared some refreshments. Miss Yi, please do me the honor." With that, he brought Yijioga to his study room. Just like last time, there was a pot of spirit tea, a box of rose pastries, and this time, there was also a plate of peach blossom cakes. This time, Yijioga was not in the mood to taste it. He drank a mouthful of spirit tea and organized his thoughts before asking Dongfang Ke, "How was noble consort Shi poisoned back then? Can your Highness tell me the details of the situation?" "Poisoned? Do you think Imperial consort Shi got poisoned and not sick?" Dongfang Ke was startled. Then, he revealed an expression of, "I knew it," and said in a low voice, "I knew it." "Since you knew, why didn't you get the spirit doctors to check?" Yijioga asked curiously. "I did. She ate all sorts of detoxification pills. Father even got 1,000 mountain snow lotus for her to eat, but it didn't have any effect. Afterwards, those spirit doctors all said that Her Highness was sick." When Dongfang Ke said this, a trace of viciousness flashed across his handsome face. "It's all because of those damned quacks that delayed Her Highness's illness. Actually, you can't blame those spirit doctors for not being able to tell," Yijioga said. "What do you mean?" Dongfang Ke's long eyebrows raised slightly. "Because the symptoms of noble consort Shi's poisoning were suppressed by her illness, those spirit doctors couldn't tell that the Empress was poisoned and thought that she was sick," Yijioga explained. "What do you mean?" Dongfang Ke was confused. Was Imperial consort Shi sick or poisoned? "First, tell me how her ladyship was poisoned." Yi Jioga changed the topic again. Because her guess was a little unpleasant, she couldn't say it out loud. Zhou Mama has always been serving by the Empress side. I'll ask her to come and talk to you. Dongfang Ke called Lei Peng over and told him to invite Zhou Mama. Before long, Nanny Zhou came over. Nurse Zhou, eldest Miss Yi wants to ask you about the circumstances of the Empress's illness. Tell her in detail. Dongfang Ke instructed. Yes. Zhou Mama nodded. Only then did she start to recall the circumstances of Imperial Consort Shi's illness. At that time, the Imperial Consort had just passed away. Imperial Consort Shi was too sad and fell ill. At first, she was just annoyed and couldn't eat. Later on, it gradually developed into a tumor on her face. The tumor grew like wild grass and covered half of her face and body in an instant. Emperor Xian Wu was shocked and immediately invited a spirit doctor to treat her. At that time, the Empress ate a lot of medicine and her illness kept recurring. She vomited and had diarrhea. In the end, she even bled. The Empress's heart was like dead ashes. She was afraid that if she dragged it on, Emperor Xian Wu would hate her, so she decided to go to the imperial temple to guard her grandmother's grave. After Yi Jioga heard this, she was silent for a moment before asking, before Imperial Consort Shi fell ill, was the Kuei water normal? Her ladyship's body has been delicate since she was young. The Kuei water has always been abnormal. Sometimes it would come early, sometimes it would come later. She wouldn't even come once in a few months. Zhou Mama carefully said. Why didn't you invite a spirit doctor to treat the Empress? Yi Jioga asked curiously. The Kuei water was so chaotic that it was very harmful to women. It could even affect their children. Imperial consort Shi was of noble birth. Inviting a spirit doctor to treat her should be a very simple matter. We did. Her ladyship ate it for a few days and then refused. Zhou Mama said helplessly. Imperial consort Shi loved beauty since she was young. She also liked to practice dancing. In order to maintain a light body, she strictly controlled her diet. Thus, the Kuei water had always been abnormal. Those spirit doctors' prescriptions were all to increase her appetite. Of course, she wasn't willing. It wasn't until Bai Linglong gave birth to the smart and cute Dongfang Ke that she had the thought of having a child. Only then did she start to treat her body. Unfortunately, before she could get pregnant, she was killed by the Empress. So that's how it is. Yi Jioga nodded. This verified her guess. Dongfang Ke heard them talking about the Kuei water as if there was no one else around and felt inexplicably awkward. Seeing that Yi Jioga was silent, he asked, Big Miss Yi, you still haven't told me what illness Imperial consort she had and what poison she was poisoned with. Yi Jioga came back to her senses. After thinking it over, she said, if I'm not wrong, Imperial consort Shi's illness was because she didn't take care of herself after her miscarriage. That's why there was blood clot in the palace and suppressed the symptoms of her poisoning. That's why those spirit doctors didn't notice that she was poisoned. What did you say? Dongfang Ke wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. Miscarriage? Imperial consort Shi had a miscarriage. What did that mean? Imperial consort Shi should have been pregnant before she got sick. That's why she had a bad appetite, chest tightness, and nausea. Yi Jioga really didn't know what to say. A dignified imperial consort didn't even know that she was pregnant or that she had a miscarriage. She didn't know if they should say that they were careless or that the Empress was very scheming. She was actually able to lay down layers of traps before the main character noticed. Big Miss Yi, is what you said true? Her ladyship was pregnant before? Zhou Mama looked at Yi Jioga with a pale face. That's right. Yi Jioga nodded with certainty. Her ladyship, my pitiful her ladyship. Zhou Mama's lips trembled. She suddenly slapped herself. She couldn't help but cry out of regret. As the ladyship's personal mama, she actually didn't notice in time that her ladyship was pregnant. She deserved to die 10,000 times. Big Miss Yi, what poison did her ladyship get? Dongfang Ke asked seriously. Chapter 89. Noble consort Shi's poison is called beauty illusion, Yi Jioga explained. This poison was very strange. Although it was a poison, it could suppress injuries. It was just that the injuries would look better on the surface, but the insides would continue to rot. What was even more strange was that this poison couldn't be used to clear heat and detoxify. The more powerful the spirit medicine, the more severe the backlash would be. The 1,000-year snow lotus that Emperor Xianwu had gotten was a fatal poison to noble consort Shi. Because this poison was too strange, the spirit doctors couldn't tell that noble consort Shi had a miscarriage or that she was poisoned. In the end, they attributed it all to a strange disease. Where did the empress get this poison? Dongfang Ke's heart kept sliding. The spirit doctors had never heard of the king poison in his body and the spirit poison in noble consort Shi's body. How could they fight against the empress? I'm not sure about that, but the world is big and full of strange things. You might think these poisons are strange, but they're actually very common in other places. For example, this beauty illusion poison is a poison used on noble consort Shi who had a miscarriage, but if used on ordinary women, it has the effect of retaining their beauty. That's why some noble ladies in small countries would take it regularly and detoxify it regularly, Yi Jioga said. Noble consort Shi was older than Bai Linglong and could be considered Dongfang Ke's mother's generation. No matter how she took care of herself, it couldn't stop the passage of time. The reason why she couldn't be as delicate as a young girl was because of this poison. However, using such an extreme method to take care of herself was very dangerous. If she wasn't careful, she could fall into a state of eternal damnation. Then how can this poison be detoxified? Nanny Zhou wiped her tears and asked. The child's situation couldn't be saved, so the most important thing now was to cure noble consort Shi's poison. First use medicine to drain the clotted blood in noble consort Shi's body, then force out the beauty illusion. The method sounds simple, but the process is very painful. When draining the clotted blood, the suppressed beauty illusion will rebound and all the muscles in the body will rot. When the beauty illusion is forced out, the rotten muscles will peel off. That feeling is probably no different from death by 1,000 cuts. Yi Jioga sighed. Although she could use needles to seal noble consort Shi's pain sensation, it was only temporary. This was because after the acupuncture points were sealed, it would affect the curative effect, so the pain was unavoidable. When Nurse Zhou heard Yi Jioga's description, she immediately felt a chill rising from the soles of her feet. She couldn't even say a word. Based on my observations, noble consort Shi is a person with a determined personality. She should be able to endure this kind of hardship. The only problem now is whether or not to tell her about the miscarriage that Her Highness once had. Yi Jioga looked towards Dongfang Ke and Nanny Zhou. When noble consort Shi heard that she had been deceived by the spirit doctor for so long, she was so angry that she vomited blood. If she knew that the child of her dreams was right in front of her, only to be lost because of her negligence and the enemy's persecution. She didn't even realize it from the beginning to the end, so he didn't know how sad she was. Dongfang Ke was silent. Nanny Zhou could not help but shed tears. She was noble consort Shi's wet nurse. She watched her grow up and loved her as if she was her own flesh and blood. No one knew better than her how much noble consort Shi wanted a child at that time. For the sake of the child, she even gave up the vegetarian diet that she had insisted on for many years to eat Chinese medicine that made her have a big appetite. Even if she gained weight, she was still ecstatic. It would have been fine if she hadn't been pregnant, but now that she had it and lost it, that feeling was the most painful. Yi Jioga found that he couldn't count on these two at all, so he could only say, "We'll talk about this later." Nanny Zhou, you've been out for so long. You should go back and take care of Her Highness first. If she wakes up, let me know. Yes. Nanny Zhou was also worried about Her Highness and hurriedly went back. When she returned to the room, she saw that Her Highness was still sleeping soundly. She finally heaved a sigh of relief, then started washing her face with water so that Her Highness wouldn't notice anything strange. In the end, she had only washed halfway when noble consort she woke up and called her from the inner room. She hurriedly wiped her face and entered the inner room. Nanny, why are you crying? Noble consort she and Nanny Zhou had been together for decades and knew her very well. She could tell that she was crying with one look. No, this old servant just accidentally blinded her eyes. This person is old, and it's easy to cry. Nanny Zhou smiled. You don't need to lie to me. Did Miss Yi tell you something? Is it difficult to cure my poison? Noble consort she stared at Nanny Zhou's face closely. She felt uneasy in her sleep just now, worried that everything just now was a dream. Yi Jioge was just perfunctory with her. When she woke up, it was all gone. No, Miss Yi said that she has a way to cure it. She even gave you a prescription. If you don't believe me, you can ask her later. Nanny Zhou quickly comforted noble consort she. Then why are you still like this? Noble consort she didn't believe it. Over the years, people around her always told some white lies in order to comfort her. She also knew that they were doing it for her own good. But now, she didn't need those lies. She wanted the truth. No matter how cruel it was better than being kept in the dark. Nanny Zhou really couldn't bear to talk about the child, so she repeated the treatment plan that Yi Jioge said and then cried, Your Highness, this old servant feels so sad when I think that you have to suffer like this. I wish I could suffer for you. The pain of 1,000 cuts. Noble consort she chewed on these 4 bloody words. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't afraid. She had seen the punishment of 1,000 cuts before. It was done by a eunuch who had done many evil things. He was cut 120 times, and in the end, only a bloody frame was left, but he was still alive. After seeing it, she was so scared that she couldn't sleep for a few days and nights. At that time, Emperor Xian Wu, who was only the 3rd prince, vowed to comfort her, if one day he can ascend to the throne, he will remove all these bloody and cruel punishments. Because of this sentence, she was sure that Emperor Xian Wu would be a benevolent ruler in the future. In order to help him ascend to the throne, she was willing to give the position of princess consort to the vicious Xue Mingzhu. In order to help him win over the Bai family, she treated Bai Linglong as a sister and tried to win her over. She loved Bai Linglong's son as her own. But in the end, Xue Mingzhu was as stable as Mount Tai on the throne of the empress. She gave birth to an idiot son, Dongfang Jianming, also became the crown prince. But her face was ruined, and she lived a life worse than death. Even Linglong's child became a cripple. But Emperor Xian Wu and Xue Mingzhu still sat on the throne and lived a peaceful and stable life. Why? Noble consort she suddenly opened her eyes. Her beautiful left and rotten right face showed unforgettable hatred. She said word by word, Tell Miss Yi that as long as my face can be restored, I am willing to suffer the pain of 1,000 cuts. Chapter 90. Imperial Consort. Elderly Lady Zhou looked at Imperial Consort she with heartache. Go! Imperial Consort she ordered fiercely. Yes. Elderly Lady Zhou knew that the Imperial Consort hated people crying when she was sick. She wiped her tears and turned back into a capable elderly lady. Then, she went out to invite eldest Miss Yi in. Eldest Miss Yi, the Imperial Consort invites you over to talk. Please don't talk to her about the child for now, elderly Lady Zhou pleaded in a low voice. Okay, I understand. Yi Jioge was not a talkative person. If it was not necessary, she would not say more. When Yi Jioge entered the room, Imperial Consort Shi's attitude was much better than before. Not only did she cooperate, but she also asked elderly Lady Zhou to record all the precautions that Yi Jioge had mentioned. She was as serious as a student about to take part in an imperial examination. Imperial Consort, take this prescription first. After the blood clots in your body have been emptied, we will perform the next detoxification treatment. After careful consideration, Yi Jioge wrote down a prescription for promoting blood circulation and removing blood clots. She also noted that the prescription had to be decocted before it could be taken. Although the pill could expel the poison quickly, its medicinal properties were too strong. Therefore, the first few doses had to be decocted. After Imperial Consort she had adapted, she would slowly increase the dosage. Finally, she would use the spiritual cleansing pill to completely empty the blood clots in her body. Okay. Imperial Consort she nodded. She carefully took the prescription and read the names of the herbs carefully. She had become a doctor after a long illness, so she had a certain understanding of medicine. At first glance, she knew that Yi Jioge was using herbs for promoting blood circulation and removing blood clots. Then, she added a few herbs to replenish the heart meridian. The detoxification pill that grandfather gave you still has some residual medicinal properties near your heart meridian. Therefore, these herbs are to stimulate those medicinal properties. Seeing that Imperial Consort she was reading seriously, Yi Jioge explained in detail the effects of the various herbs and their effects on her body. Eldest Miss Yi is indeed meticulous. Imperial Consort she was very satisfied with Yi Jioge's patient attitude. After putting away the prescription, she smiled and said, I have been studying medicine books all these years. I thought that I was half a spiritual doctor. After seeing your prescription today, I realize that my knowledge is shallow. Imperial Consort, you are too modest. Not many people are as proficient in medicinal knowledge as you are, Yi Jioge praised sincerely. Imperial Consort she felt pain at the slightest touch of these drugs, which showed that her theoretical knowledge was very solid. What she lacked was clinical experience. However, she was researching prescriptions to treat her own illness, not to become a spiritual doctor, so her lack of experience was understandable. I've seen a prescription similar to yours in a medical book before. However, that prescription was used to treat postpartum blood congestion. I didn't expect it to be used to expel toxins, Imperial Consort she said with a smile. Yi Jioge's heart skipped a beat. She thought that Imperial Consort she had noticed something. But looking at her expression carefully, there was no abnormality. She was probably just saying it casually. Nyang Nyang, leave this prescription to this old servant for safekeeping. In a moment, this old servant will grab the herbs and come back to help you decoct the medicine. Zhou Mama said without revealing anything. Okay. Imperial Consort she did not suspect anything and handed the prescription to elderly servant Su. Imperial Consort, it's getting late. I'll head back first. I'll visit you again tomorrow. Yi Jioge stood up and said. She had been out for half a day. If she did not return soon, Qing Mama would be worried. Eldest Miss Yi, it's not convenient for you to enter and leave the prince residence. Why don't you wait until I finish this treatment? Imperial Consort she said considerately. She knew that the smell in her room was unpleasant. It was good enough that Yi Jioge had been patient enough to accompany her for a day. Furthermore, her illness needed to be treated slowly. It would not be good to tie her up here. That's fine. Yi Jioge nodded. Imperial Consort she's treatment plan had been decided. She only needed to treat her gradually. She did not need to be by her side all the time. Yi Jioge left Imperial Consort she's courtyard and went to bid farewell to Dongfang, Quebec. Eldest Miss Yi, the second-grade 1,000 threads grass that you prescribed to Imperial Consort she cannot be found in the capital's pharmacies. Where can I find it? A trace of worry flashed across Dongfang K's handsome face. He was really worried that Yi Jioge would come up with some iceberg or mountain. The 1,000 threads grass usually grows in the swamps of the forest. I'm planning to go out and gather herbs in the next few days. When the time comes, I'll bring them back. Yi Jioge was very concerned about Imperial Consort she's situation, so she planned to gather the herbs herself. Do you want me to send a few people to help you? Dongfang Ke asked. Yi Jioge had already done her part by being willing to treat Imperial Consort she. She would feel bad if she had to gather the herbs herself. No need. It's better for us to be unfamiliar with each other during this time to avoid arousing the Empress' suspicion. Yi Jioge was worried that Dongfang Kei's men would attract the Empress's suspicion if they went to look for the Thousand Threads grass. Alright. If you need anything, just let me know. As long as I can do it, I will not refuse. Dongfang Kei nodded. He would remember Yi Jioge's kindness in his heart. After Yi Jioge left the prince residence and returned to the Jilin residence, she told Qing Mama that she would be going out to gather herbs the next day. Are you going alone? What about Lord Bai and Lord Wan? Qing Mama asked immediately. Yi Jioge saw that Qing Mama looked like she would go if no one accompanied her, so she lied, Lord Wan is not free. Lord Bai will accompany me into the mountains. Bai Songling did not need to go to the Justice Department every day, so it would be less likely that she would be exposed. How many days will you be gone? Qing Mama asked again. 3 days at least, 7 days at most, Yi Jioge gave a conservative estimate. She had used the excuse of enclosed cultivation to recuperate. She could not be gone for too long. Alright, then I will help you prepare. Qing Mama immediately went to prepare the luggage with a smile. If Lord Bai was willing to accompany the eldest miss into the mountains to gather herbs, didn't that mean that the two of them were already very close? Perhaps it wouldn't be long before she would hear good news. Let's see which B*TCH dares to say that the eldest miss is ugly and unmarriageable. Yi Jioge let Qing Mama do as she pleased. She entered the pill production room and began to prepare the herbs to enter the mountains. This time, she was going to the swamp to look for the Thousand Threads grass. Besides the poisonous snakes and ferocious beasts in the mountains, she also had to prevent mosquitoes from biting her. The mosquitoes in the swamp were no joke. There were so many of them that they could carry a person away. There was also miasma and evil energy. These were all deadly things. She also had to prepare the antidote pills in advance. Yi Jioge busied herself for more than 2 hours before she finished preparing all kinds of pills. Treading through the night, she returned to the brightly lit room. She found a large package on the table. It must be the luggage that Qing Mama had prepared for her. Yi Jioge opened it and was speechless. She saw that there were exquisite and beautiful dresses inside, and they were made of very expensive silk. Every dress was carefully matched with headwear, earrings, and necklaces. None of the headwear was repeated. Even embroidered shoes were prepared in pairs. In one of the mahogany boxes, there were rouge, powder, lip gloss, and eyebrow pencil. How was this entering the mountains? This was clearly a blind date. Chapter 91. Yi Jioge pointed at the package with a black face and said, Mother Qing, are you afraid that I won't die fast enough by dressing me like this in the mountain to pick herbs? Bah, child's words carry no harm. What are you talking about? Mother Qing glared at Yi Jioge angrily, and then said with a smile, What do you know? Men like delicate women the most. If you don't create an opportunity for him to save the beauty, how can he be tempted by you? Her big miss was good at everything, but she was too tough. Even men would sigh at her inferiority, who would dare to chase her. That was why she had meticulously prepared these things. If Big Miss could turn her small foot at the foot of the mountain, then Bai Darren could carry her up the mountain. It would be even better if it could rain a little, and the two of them could warm themselves together in the broken temple. Mother Qing thought of the broken temple and immediately said to Yi Jioge with a very serious expression, Big Miss, you can go out with Bai Darren for the night, but you can't do something that you shouldn't do. A woman losing her virginity before marriage is the stupidest thing. A girl's virginity was a gem. Only when she gave it to her husband on the wedding night would it become the cornerstone of their relationship. If it was taken away before marriage, it would become worthless than cow dung on the roadside. Mother Qing, you really think too much. Yi Jioge admired Mother Qing's rich imagination. Losing her virginity before marriage? Even if she wanted to, she had to see if Zi Shang would agree or not. If you want to lose your virginity, find me. Zi Shang teased. Get lost. Does this pervert think I'm reading lines? Big miss, men always say sweet words before marriage, you have to be careful. Mother Ching continued to persuade her with good intentions. She heard that Bai Darren not only had red lips and white teeth, but also a very smart mouth. This kind of man was most liked by women and was the type that women were most likely to fall for. In her opinion, Wan Darren was still the best. Not only was he handsome, but he was also capable. Usually, there was never any gossip, and he was also cold to women. If she married such a man, she wasn't afraid that he would marry 3 wives and 4 concubines, making the house restless. I know. Yi Jioga said perfunctorily. Big miss, this old servant is serious. Mother Ching saw that Big Miss didn't listen, so she put on a long speech to prove her point. Yi Jioga felt that if Mother Ching continued to nag him, he would definitely go crazy. She pushed Mama Ching out of the door. Okay, I got it. I'll pack my luggage myself. Hurry up and help me find a way to get away with it, lest father finds out and scolds me again. With that, he closed the door. Mother Ching stood outside the door and chuckled. Eldest miss must be shy. This was more like a young girl in love. She was too mature before. However, eldest miss was right. She had to think of a foolproof plan to cover for eldest Mississippi. When Yi Jioga heard the footsteps of Mother Ching leaving, he finally breathed a sigh of relief and began to pack up. The dresses and jewelry all walked away. Black training clothes and cloth shoes were the best equipment for going out, as well as firewood, flint, and other necessities for camping. Yi Jioga packed his things and stuffed them into a piece of animal skin that he sewed himself. Then, he went to sleep peacefully. What she didn't know was that her every move in Purple Forest Garden, including the things prepared by Mother Ching and others, the medicinal materials entering the alchemy room and the dregs of the refined medicine, fell into a pair of scheming beautiful eyes of the Yi family. The owner of the beautiful eyes raised her enchanting red lips and gave an order to the darkness. Send a letter to Her Majesty. Tell her that Yi Jioga will go to the monster forest to collect medicinal materials tomorrow. Let her be prepared. The next morning, the sky was still dim. Yi Jioga changed into men's clothes, carried the animal skin bag and quietly left the Yi family. She rode all the way and finally arrived at the monster forest 500 miles away at noon. The monster forest, as the name suggested, was a gathering place for monsters. It was densely forested with poisonous insects and monsters. Even advanced spiritualists did not dare to go deep into it. Find a place to eat grass and drink water. Yi Jioga patted the big black horse's head. The horse she rode was an old horse trained by the Yun family since childhood. It could survive even in the wild. After the big black horse left, Yi Jioga quickly entered the monster forest. Most of the medicinal materials on the periphery of the forest had been collected. If she wanted to find good medicinal materials, she had to go deep into the forest. Yi Jioga identified the direction according to the humidity of the air and the density of the leaves. She walked all the way west toward the swamp. The beast repellent pill she prepared played a great role. Her journey was very smooth. In less than an hour, she found a small brown swamp. Strictly speaking, the 1,000 silk grass did not grow near the swamp. It grew on the head of a rank 2 monster, the mud frog. This kind of mud frog usually hid in the swamp. If she wanted to lure it out, she had to use a kind of spirit herb called the wonderful frog seed. Yi Jioga took out a brown seed the size of a thumb from the cloth bag. She pinched the brown skin and put the white flesh on the edge of the swamp. She quietly hid on a big tree next to it. She saw a small bubble on the calm swamp. Then, with a plop, a big frog covered in thick mud jumped out of the swamp. On the brown head grew a dark green plant the size of a palm. It was the 1,000 silk grass that Yi Jioga was looking for. The big frog looked around and found that there was no danger. Then it jumped toward the white flesh. It opened its mouth and stuck out its thin tongue, rolling the seed into its belly. Yi-Joga took the opportunity to land. She raised her knife and cut off the 1,000 silk grass on the big frog's head. Croak, croak, croak. The big frog was so scared that it turned around and ran away. It plunged into the swamp with a bang. Yi-Joga did not chase it. It was not easy for the big frog to grow so big. It would be a pity to kill it. The most important thing was that the 1,000 silk grass on its head would grow back after being cut. The 1,000 silk grass was much more valuable than the big frog. With a sustainable attitude, Yi-Joga decided to put it back in the swamp. She could pick it up again if she needed it. Yi-Joga put away the 1,000 silk grass and was about to leave the swamp. Suddenly, a fishy odor unique to high-level demonic beasts assaulted his nostrils along with the breeze. In the next second, a silver-white figure pounced at her with a sharp gust of wind. Yi-Joga turned around and struck out with her palm. She retreated 3 feet. There was a clang. It sounded like metal hitting a hard stone floor. The silver-white figure landed on the ground. It was a rank 3 wolf beast. Its eyes were dark green like emeralds. Occasionally, they flashed with a violent red light. Its fur was as white as snow. There was only a tuft of black fur on the top of its head. It looked like the black hat of a county magistrate. It was the symbol of a leader. The wolf beast leader stared at Yi-Joga with its dark green eyes. More than 10 gray wolf beasts appeared behind him. They surrounded Yi-Joga. Chapter 92. That's not right. Yi-Joga frowned. This swamp was the land of the mud frogs. It was impossible for the wolf beasts to come here to hunt. Something must have happened that forced them to come here. Yi-Joga opened her spiritual eye, and discovered that the wolf beasts' eyes were flickering with an abnormal red light, which spread to their entire bodies. Obviously, these wolf beasts were poisoned by some unknown poison, and their ferocious nature was activated, treating Yi-Joga as their enemy. Yi-Joga then took out some beast-repellent powder and scattered it on the wolf beasts. The wolf beast leader retreated a few steps, but under the urge of its ferocious nature, it once again approached Yi-Joga. Following that, it opened its mouth, and spat out a few sharp green wind blades towards Yi-Joga. Yi-Joga dodged, and the wind blades landed on a tree behind her that was wide enough for 2 people to wrap their arms around. The big tree fell to the ground. The wolf beast leader anxiously used its claws to dig a few holes in the ground. The other wolf beasts lowered their bodies, and let out threatening growls. It was obvious that they could no longer hold back, and were ready to attack at any time. Yi-Joga looked around, trying to find an escape route. It was not that she did not have the ability to kill these wolf beasts, but in the demonic beast forest, the smell of blood would cause the other demonic beasts to go crazy. At that time, if another group of demonic beasts came, she would not be able to escape. The wolf beast leader let out a battle howl. 3 wolf beasts pounced towards her, one in front and one behind her. Yi-Joga did not bother them, and instead, turned around and climbed up the tree. She was like a monkey, running around the tree, while the wolf beasts chased after her. Yi-Joga ran around a few rounds, but was still unable to shake off these wolf beasts. They all had a way to lock onto their prey, and unless she could escape out of the demonic beast forest, she would be chased to the end. Look at your stupid face. Zishang looked like he was watching a show. If you're not stupid, why don't you come and try? Yi-Joga said unhappily. Fine, this sovereign will be merciful today, and let you see what is the aura of a ruler. Zishang laughed. Following that, Yi-Joga felt a mysterious power in her body. She could not help but raise her head, and looked at the demonic beasts as if she was looking at ants. The wolf beasts that were going crazy suddenly trembled, and then they let out a cry for mercy, and knelt down in front of her, as if they were worshipping the Wolf King. Yi-Joga had to admit that Zishang's strength was awesome. She took out the antidote powder and sprinkled it on the ground. She ordered the wolf beasts, eat all of this. The wolf leader's green eyes flashed with anger and fear. It probably thought that Yi-Joga was forcing them to eat poison. Yi Jioga didn't bother to explain. He simply used his purple deceased king's aura to suppress them. The wolf leader had no choice but to bring its underlings over to swallow the antidote powder that Yi Jioga had sprinkled. Ao ao ao. The wolf beasts howled in pain at the same time. Then, they opened their mouths and vomited mouthfuls of black blood. After vomiting, the redness in their eyes and bodies faded, and they regained their original consciousness. Black Gauze Hat, take your little brothers and leave. If you find anything wrong in the future, run away from the downwind position. Yi Jioga saw the blood they spat out and guessed how they got hit. The wolf leader gave Yi Jioga a grateful look before quickly retreating with its little brothers. Zishang, can you find the person controlling these wolf beasts? Yi Jioga asked in a low voice. She only told Mother Qing that she was going to the mountain to pick herbs. How could someone ambush her in advance? She didn't believe that Mother Qing betrayed her. She could only catch the person who ambushed her and ask him. They are 1 mile to the east. Zishang said. Elder sister wants to see who is plotting against me. Yi Jioga's figure flashed and ran towards the east. 1 mile only took half an incense stick of time. Yi Jioga stood on a fork in the tree. From afar, he saw a group of black-clothed people standing in the forest. One of the skinny and short figures was particularly familiar. It was Mother Su. Why did she come here? Yi Jioga couldn't help but frown. She came to pick herbs today, not to risk her life. If possible, she didn't want to fight with Mother Su. With me here, what are you afraid of? Zishang said lightly. He had already discovered that the old woman had brought people to follow Yi Jioga. He didn't say anything because he wanted Yi Jioga to discover it herself. He didn't expect that this little girl was so focused on picking spirit herbs that she didn't notice anything. With such a muddle-headed temperament, what would she do without him by her side? It seemed that she would have to rely on herself for the rest of her life. Revenge is only interesting if you do it yourself. What's the point of relying on your help? Yi Jioga knew that Zishang was very strong. As long as Zishang was willing to help, nothing could stop him. This kind of powerful strength could easily make people feel dependent on him. She didn't want to become a useless person who depended on others. Moreover, Zishang was a demon. If she fought too often, she was afraid that she would leave traces. If people found out that she was colluding with the demon race, she would be finished. Idiot, have you forgotten the consultation fee that I helped you earn? Zishang said. You mean that Thunder Snake Mirage Whip? Although that spirit whip was powerful, it was still not enough to deal with Mother Su. Yes, actually that Thunder Snake Mirage Whip is not a spirit tool, but a demon tool. Zishang said. Speaking of which, that Thunder Snake Mirage Whip was quite related to him. This was because the material used for this Mirage Whip was the 7th rank demon snake, White Scale King. This traitor who intended to usurp the throne was personally killed by him, and his corpse was also thrown into the primordial battlefield. He also didn't know which demon race junior actually secretly entered the primordial battlefield and refined the corpse of the White Scale King into a demon tool. Moreover, the refinement was quite decent. If people who didn't know what was going on saw this thing, they would really think that it was a damaged spirit tool. How could this be a demon tool? Yi Jioga didn't believe it. How could a demon tool be driven by spiritual power? Did he think that she was a 3-year-old child? In the hands of a human, this demon tool is just an ordinary spirit tool, but in the hands of a demon, it is a powerful bloodthirsty demon tool. Although you are not a demon, with this deity here, you can still awaken it and make it recognize you as its master. This was a very simple matter for him. You want me to use a demon tool to kill people? Are you afraid that others won't know that I have an affair with you? Yi Jioga rolled her eyes. Right now, she wished that she could hang a sign on her chest to tell everyone that her sister had nothing to do with the demon race. How could she still carry a demon tool and go around killing people? Idiot, if I didn't tell you, you would be able to tell that this is a demon tool. As long as Yi Jioga didn't tell anyone, no one in the human race would be able to tell that this was a demon tool. No matter what you say, I won't use a demon tool. Yi Jioga shook her head firmly. It was already very dangerous to be entangled with a demon race. Adding a demon tool to the mix, it was really playing with fire and burning oneself. Even if it can kill Mother Su, you still won't use it? Zi Shang asked. Chapter 93. It was very tempting to kill Wet Nurse Su. Yi Jioga hesitated for a moment before asking, "Are you sure others can't tell that it's a demon weapon?" "I'm sure." "All right." Yi Jioga admitted that he couldn't resist the temptation of becoming stronger and asked, "How do I make it awaken?" Zi Shang simply said, "You just need to feed it a drop of blood." "Blood again? Is my sister's blood so valuable?" Yi Jioga complained in his heart, but he still followed Zi Shang's instructions. He bit his finger and dripped a drop of blood on the head of the lightning snake illusionary whip. As soon as Yi Jioga's blood seeped in, the lightning snake illusionary whip's body suddenly trembled. A line of blood extended from its head to its tail before disappearing again. Then, the lifeless lightning snake illusionary whip opened its bloody eyes and emitted a terrifying aura. At this moment, the men in black in the open area respectfully said to Wet Nurse Su, "Wet Nurse, those wolf beasts should have consumed most of Yi Jioga's energy. Should we go and see what's going on?" "Go. Remember, leave one alive." Wet Nurse Su's skinny face showed a ruthless expression. When she heard that Yi Jioga was going to enter the mountain, she took the initiative to accept this task from the Empress. As long as she could force out Yi Jioga's secret, she could do whatever she wanted with him. Although Yi Jioga was only a beginner spiritual practitioner, he was much better than those mortals without cultivation. He believed that after sucking her blood dry, he would definitely be able to break through and become a spiritual master. Wet Nurse Su was imagining the beautiful days after she advanced. Suddenly, she felt a chill behind her and instinctively dodged to the front. The black-clothed men who were still standing in their original spots were stunned. They saw a shadow of purple lightning attacking them. They subconsciously turned around and wanted to escape. Only a boom was heard. The bodies of these men in black were torn apart by the shadow. Blood and flesh flew everywhere, and broken limbs fell to the ground. Wet Nurse Su couldn't help but widen her eyes and look at Yi Jioga in disbelief. Even though she was an evil cultivator, she had never seen such a bloody and terrifying attack. Yi Jioga shook the lightning snake illusionary whip in his hand, but his face was pale. That attack just now had consumed too much spiritual power. What kind of person was Mammy Su? She immediately found that something was wrong with Yi Jioga. She smiled gloomily and said, "Wicked girl, there is a way to heaven, but you don't take it. There is no door to hell, but you come. Since you have come, you will die." After saying that, he activated the evil force in his body, and a protective spiritual light with a thick smell of blood rose up. Yi Jioga found that the protective light around Nanny Su's body had grown a bit stronger than when she was in Splendid Palace. He didn't know how many lives she had sucked to reach this point. Her expression darkened. She picked up the Thunder Snake illusionary whip and shouted, "Old witch, let's see who will die here today." After saying that, the lightning snake illusionary whip automatically attacked, transforming into countless whip shadows that attacked Wet Nurse Su. Nanny Su waved her hands and sent out red palm shadows one after another to block the attack of the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. The more she fought, the more frightened she became. Originally, she thought that Yi Jioga would have used up most of her spiritual power after using that kind of attack. She didn't expect that Yi Jioga would become more and more ferocious. The spiritual whip in her hand was like a cunning and cruel python that opened its bloody mouth and wanted to swallow her. What Nanny Su didn't know was that Yi Jioga was also in extreme pain at this moment. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip was frantically sucking spiritual power from her body. She felt like she was going to be sucked dry. "Zi Shang, what's going on?" Yi Jioga wanted to forcibly pull away, but she couldn't. If this continued, before Nanny Su fell, she would become dried meat first. It's a demonic artifact, so it always has a bit of a personality. You just need to communicate with it, Zishang said lazily. How do I communicate? She couldn't be yelling at the whip. She wasn't crazy. Use your soul power to forcibly give it an order, Zishang kindly reminded her. Zishang kindly reminded, you'll be sucked dry in 30 minutes, so you have to hurry. Catch your sister. At the moment of life and death, Yijioga was practically shouting with her soul, damn your thunder snake illusionary whip, if you dare to suck Big Sister's spiritual power again, Big Sister will cripple you. The thunder snake illusionary whip couldn't help but tremble. As expected, it stopped sucking energy from Yijioga. It immediately flew away from Yijioga's hand and fiercely stabbed into Nanny Sue's chest, frantically devouring her. Nanny Sue's body quickly dried up, and her face was as white as paper. She looked down at the silver snake on her chest in disbelief. In the past, she was the one who sucked other people's blood. She didn't expect that one day, she would be the one being sucked. Yijioga's expression was unsightly as she looked at the thunder snake illusionary whip that had instantly turned blood red. She couldn't tell that it was a demonic artifact with such a ghastly appearance. Did she think everyone else was blind? It's fine, it's just too thirsty. It'll just suck once, Zishang said without sincerity. Yijioga instantly felt like she was being played. At this moment, Nanny Sue's body had already dried up like a skull. Just as she was about to call it a day, her body suddenly swelled up, and a strange red color appeared on her face. The thunder snake illusionary whip instantly returned to Yijioga's hand as if it had seen a ghost, and returned to its previous harmless appearance. Not good, she's going to self-destruct. Hurry and run. Zishang quickly sent a wave of demonic energy into Yijioga's body. At the same time, Nanny Sue's body exploded with a loud boom. A huge wave smashed into Yijioga's body like a hammer. She only felt her blood and chi churning, and her body flew out like a kite with a broken string. Hold on, I'm going to sleep for a while. Zishang said the last sentence, and then went silent. F***ck, F***ck, F***ck. Yijioga was really going crazy. Her spiritual energy had already been sucked dry by the thunder snake illusionary whip, and she couldn't move at all. She could only fall straight down from the sky, smashing through countless branches and leaves along the way, and finally smashing a human-shaped pit on the ground. Yijioga was buried in the ground. She strongly suspected that her face was disfigured, and her face hurt terribly. At this moment, the demonic beast's howl resounded in her ears, filled with the threat of an outsider. She used all her strength to raise her head, and what entered her eyes was a round black hat. It turned out that the wolf beasts that she had released earlier were having a meal together, and there were still traces of blood on the corners of their mouths. The wolf beast leader was currently looking at her with a bewildered expression, trying to recognize who this person was from her badly battered face. Hi, Black Hat, we meet again. Yijioga reluctantly greeted them. She didn't know if these wolf beasts still remembered her kindness of not killing them earlier. One must know that she was in so much pain that she couldn't even move a finger. If the wolf beasts wanted to kill her, it would be as easy as flipping their hands. Fortunately, the wolf beast leader quickly recognized Yijioga, and surrounded her while whimpering, as if asking her how she was injured. I fought with the bad person who controlled you for 300 rounds, and was accidentally sent flying by her. Yijioga said with difficulty. Awoo. The wolf beast leader howled twice, and then lowered its head to grab Yijioga onto its body, and carried her deep into the forest. Chapter 94. The wolf leader carried Yijioga through many twists and turns before returning to the swamp. After a series of howling, woo-ao, several bubbles appeared in the swamp. Then, the round head of the big mud frog popped out. Gua gua gua. Ow ow ow. After some kind of communication between the wolf and frog, the mud frog looked at Yijioga with grievance before diving back into the swamp gloomily. Then, With a poof, the swamp spat out a lake blue stone. The wolf leader grabbed the lake blue stone with its claw and rolled it to Yijioga's mouth. It howled twice, obviously wanting her to eat it. Yijioga looked at the lake blue stone from the corner of her eyes. Could it be a magical medicine used by the demon race? Ow ow! The wolf leader urged impatiently. Yijioga steeled her heart and swallowed the stone. But it was useless. The burning pain in his internal organs just now was even worse now. Especially her lungs. They were burning. Even breathing was extremely painful. Then, the wolf leader carried Yijioga on its back and carried her across half of the demon forest. Finally, they arrived at the edge of a cliff. The cold mountain wind caused the wolf leader's fur to flutter. Yijioga suddenly had a bad feeling. It couldn't be what she was thinking, right? Before Yijioga could react, the wolf leader squatted down and threw her down the cliff. F***ck, it turns out that the demon beast repaying kindness is all a lie. Yijioga's body fell with a whoosh. Then, with a loud bang, she smashed into the big lake at the bottom of the cliff. The powerful water pressure hit her in the chest. Her whole body was in pain. Finally, her survival instinct was aroused. Yijioga waved her hands desperately in the cold lake water, trying to swim up. But she was horrified to find that her body kept falling. It was as if something was pulling her feet down to the center of the lake. Yijioga panicked for a moment. Then, she was surprised to find that her mouth and nose were not blocked by the lake water. Instead, she could breathe freely in the lake. She thought of the lake blue stone that the wolf leader had made her swallow. Could it be that it wasn't trying to murder her, but was actually trying to save her? Yijioga calmed himself down and followed the flow of energy from the center of the lake. The small fish in the lake looked at the foreign tourists strangely. They swam around her in groups for a while, but soon lost their patience and swam away. Yijioga kept descending until he finally arrived at a cave at the bottom of a lake. There seemed to be something in the dark cave that was attracting her. Yijioga hesitated for a moment before following his instincts and swimming into the cave. After passing through a dark and narrow passage, his eyes brightened. The walls of the cave were covered with light blue aquatic plants, which emitted a bright light. It was very beautiful. Yijioga's eyes lit up. He hurriedly plucked a handful of seaweed and put it in his mouth to chew. A bitter yet sweet taste filled her mouth. Then, a cold spiritual power rose from his dantian, and the pain on his body and face was immediately relieved. I've struck gold. Yijioga's eyes turned into the shape of ingots. These aquatic grasses were actually stage 2 blue jade aquatic grasses. The blue jade water grass contained extremely pure water spiritual energy and was a treasure for healing injuries. If he brought it to the medicine hall, he could sell it for 1,000 taels of silver each. There were at least 10,000 blue jade aquatic grasses here. If he brought it back, he would definitely become rich overnight. Other than being valuable, this spiritual grass also had a very important function. It was a natural painkiller. With this spiritual medicine, not only would imperial consort she not have to endure the pain of being dismembered, she would also be able to speed up her body's recovery. This was simply an unexpected surprise. Yijioga excitedly cut off the blue jade aquatic grasses and stuffed them into the beast skin bag that she carried with her. Only when she could no longer pretend did she reluctantly continue forward. After passing through the passage at the bottom of the lake, there was a pool of water above. Yijioga stuck her head out and found that she had arrived at a cave. The cave was tall and deep, and it was frighteningly spacious. She immediately became vigilant. This kind of place was either the lair of a big demonic beast or a treasure trove filled with traps. No matter what, it was dangerous. Yijioga stuck to the wall of the cave and slowly walked inside. At this moment, a rolling sound suddenly came from afar, as if something was rolling towards her. Yijioga clenched the lightning snake illusion whip in her hand. Although this demon artifact was a scam, it was strong enough to give her a sense of security at critical moments. As the rolling sound approached, Yijioga's nerves were also stretched to the extreme. She had just raised the lightning snake illusion whip when she saw a round, chubby black figure desperately pushing a dirty pill furnace in front of her. Pippi. That black and fat little thing raised its head, revealing a pair of big black grape-like eyes. It was watery and looked a little cute. Although this fat guy looked a bit like a mouse, it was different from those mice in the sewers. It had round ears, big eyes, a small nose, and a chubby body. It looked soft and harmless. However, Yijioga did not completely relax her vigilance. Who knew if this soft and cute appearance was its disguise? Maybe in the next second, it would turn into a big monster and swallow her. The black fat mouse rolled the pill furnace in front of Yijioga again and softly shouted, "Pippi." Inexplicably, Yijioga understood its meaning. "For me." Yijioga pointed to herself. "Pippi." The black fat mouse nodded its head with force. Yijioga did not rashly pick up the pill furnace. Instead, she opened her spiritual eye and examined it carefully. She discovered that there was nothing special about this pill furnace and it did not look like a hidden weapon. Thus, she picked it up from the ground. She blew away the dust on it and discovered that it was a three-legged bronze cauldron. There were complicated carvings on it and it gave off an ancient aura. Yijioga inexplicably felt that this was a treasure. Her money grubber heart was touched and she did not hesitate to keep it. "Pippi." The black fat mouse happily called out and turned to walk into the depths of the cave. Yijioga lit up a fire and cautiously followed behind the black fat mouse. They arrived at an even wider cave. When the fire lit up the surrounding cave walls, Yijioga could not help but take in a breath of cold air. She saw that the cave walls were filled with ravines and it gave off an incomparably desolate feeling. In the middle of the ravines, there was some light blue paint mixed in. She carefully observed and discovered that the light blue paint on the cave walls was actually a mural. Unfortunately, it was already destroyed by the crisscrossing scars and nothing could be seen. Yijioga used her hand to pick up the remaining paint and discovered that it was made from some kind of ore that contains spiritual energy. A mural painted with this kind of paint should be incomparably hard and it should not be a problem for it to be preserved for thousands of years. Now that it was destroyed to such a state, how powerful must the culprit be? Chapter 95. Yijioga carefully studied the marks on the cave wall. She found that there was no pattern to these marks. There were also large pits in some places. It didn't seem like a premeditated destruction, but more like the marks left behind after a fierce fight. To be able to destroy such hard cave walls and murals to this extent, one had to be at least a great spiritual master. Yijioga tried to analyze the fragmented murals, but the damage was too severe, and she couldn't understand it at all. At this time, she found a line of small characters in the corner, so she squatted down and wiped the dust off it. Looking carefully, it turned out to be her grandfather Yun Tianwei's handwriting. It meant that he heard that there was an ancient ruin here, and he deliberately came to find it, only to find that it had been destroyed. He then strongly condemned these people for not having a moral heart, not even letting go of the murals. Through this long string of curses, Yijioga seemed to have discovered some unknown hobbies of her grandfather. She tried to find clues about her grandfather's disappearance from these words. But apart from the curses, the only useful information was that there should be a cauldron in this ancient ruin that was very useful to alchemists. Then, Yijioga found a relatively complete mural in another corner. On it was a majestic and spectacular bronze cauldron. The fire underneath was in the shape of a golden lotus. Inside the cauldron, there were countless golden fish playing. On top of the cauldron, there were also red-crowned cranes dancing, like the birth of immortal pills. Yijioga quickly took out the small bronze cauldron that the fat black rat gave her. This thing couldn't be the ancient cauldron that her grandfather had mentioned, right? Even her grandfather couldn't find a treasure, but this fat black rat actually pushed it in front of her. Could it be that her beast skills had exploded today? But when she compared the small cauldron with the big cauldron on the mural, she suddenly felt that she was fantasizing. How could such a gray thing that didn't even have spiritual power be an ancient cauldron? At this time, the fat black rat came out of nowhere and came to Yijioga's feet, crying cutely, "Pippi." Yijioga looked down at it and found that this fat black rat was carrying a small cloth bag on its back. The style was very similar to the animal skin bag she was wearing. Was this the reason why it chose to give the bronze cauldron to her? The fat black rat also looked up at her, its black eyes full of admiration. Yijioga was speechless. Obtaining the love of a fat black rat was not something to be happy about. After confirming that there were no secret passages or treasures in the cave, she returned to the pool and prepared to leave. The fat black rat carried a small beast skin bag on its back and followed closely beside her, looking as if it wanted to take her away. "What do you want?" Yijioga grabbed the back of its neck and lifted it up. It curled up its limbs and called out softly, "Pippi." She blinked her big eyes and tried to act cute. Trying to act cute when you're so fat? You're looking for the wrong person. Yijioga rejected him. "Pippi-chan." The fat black rat's small body trembled, and its big eyes were covered with a layer of tears. It looked pitiful like an abandoned puppy. All right. Since you gave me the bronze cauldron, I'll take care of you for a period of time. However, you have to pay for your meals and living expenses on time in the future." Yijioga glanced at the small animal skin bag and instinctively felt that there must be something good inside. "Pippi." The fat black rat immediately covered its small bag with its paws and looked at Yijioga with vigilance. Yijioga let go of its neck and said, "If you can keep up, then keep up." After saying that, she jumped into the pool and swam out along the way she came. Yijioga originally thought that if the fat black rat couldn't keep up, she would be merciful and take it with her. She didn't expect the fat black rat to be better at swimming than her. Its fat paws slid from time to time, and it slid hundreds of meters. It was enjoying itself by Yijioga's side. It even grabbed a handful of blue jade water grass in the passage and gnawed on it while swimming. On the contrary, Yijioga found that she didn't have enough oxygen halfway. It seemed that the effect of the thing given by the wolf beast was gradually disappearing. She hurriedly sped up and finally came out of the water before suffocating to death. It was already late at night. The bright moonlight shone on the surface of the water, making it look like a dream. The fat black rat also followed Yijioga to the surface of the water, and then shook its fur, sprinkling water droplets on the ground. "Who are you?" Yijioga looked at the fat black rat's fur that had instantly become incomparably gorgeous, feeling as if it had been replaced halfway. "Pippi?" The little thing tilted its head and looked at Yijioga, not understanding why she was so surprised. Yijioga carefully looked at the little thing. She found that its black fur had turned a pale silver under the moonlight, shining beautifully. It was covered with golden lines, like rippling water. The most amazing thing was that there was a small golden flower bud on its head. But soon, all the strange phenomena on its body disappeared, and it returned to its fat black appearance. The fat black rat saw that Yijioga was in a daze, so it swam to the shore. Then, it walked into the demonic beast forest with its head held high, as if it was patrolling its territory. Yijioga hurriedly followed and saw that it quickly came to the swamp and shouted, "Pippi." Then, the big mud frog jumped out of the swamp. The wolf beast leader also brought its little brothers over to meet up. "Pippi." The fat black rat straightened its chubby chest, raised its paw majestically, and waved at them, as if it was a leader inspecting its territory. The big mud frog and the wolf beast leader cooperated and called out a few times. Only then did the fat black rat put down its little paw in satisfaction. Then, it rummaged in its animal skin pouch. It took out a green seed that was even bigger than it and a round black stone, placing them in front of itself. Yijioga's eyes were sharp, and he could tell at a glance that it was a level 3 Wonder Frog seed and a level 3 Wind Spirit stone. Croak croak croak. Ow ow ow. The mud frog and the wolf beast leader's attitude became obviously more enthusiastic. "Pippi paste." The fat black rat generously piled the 2 items in front of the mud frog and the wolf beast leader. It looked as if they had done a good job, and the boss would reward them. The mud frog and the wolf beast leader were very satisfied with this reward, and they quickly retreated after eating. Damn! With such good things as a reward, this fat black rat was simply a rich rat. In an instant, Yijioga looked at the fat black rat differently. Especially the small bag on its body, it was obviously something similar to a Qianquan bag. This thing was very valuable, and maybe even Emperor Xian Wu couldn't get it. He didn't know where this fat black rat came from, but it actually said it was a treasure. Pippi. The fat black rat called out to Yijioga cutely. Then, its chubby body suddenly bounced up. Like a small cannonball, it accurately fell into Yijioga's bag. It dug out a place in the bag full of miscellaneous items, then curled up into a ball and prepared to rest. Before sleeping, it did not look at Yijioga and called out, Pippi. The proud look on its face clearly seemed to be saying, Master wants to rest, let me kneel and rest. Chapter 96. Looking at the fat black rat, Yijioga suddenly felt that she had been cheated. The proud look was completely different from the cute look in the cave. Did she find an ancestor to come back? Well, for the treasure of the tyrant rat, she would endure it. Yijioga was not in the mood to continue wandering in the monster forest. After leaving the forest, she put her fingers in her mouth and began to call the big black horse she brought. Da-da-da. The sound of the horse was accompanied by people's voices. Yijioga jumped on a big tree and saw several torches rising not far away. Obviously, some people were searching the mountain. She was shocked. Could it be that the Empress had fallen out with her and sent a large group of people to kill her? At this time, a familiar voice sounded, Miss Yi, where are you? Yijioga recognized that it was Bai Songling's voice and jumped down from the tree. Seeing that he was still holding his big black horse, she could not help but ask, why are you here? Mother Qing asked us to find you. Bai Songling said. Why did she come to find you? Yijioga's heart skipped a beat. Mother Qing never went out of the Yi mansion. It seems that something happened in the Yi mansion. Mother Qing suddenly came to find me. Bai Songling sighed and looked at Yijioga helplessly. Mother Qing was shocked when she saw him and kept asking why he was at home. Didn't he go to collect herbs with her, miss? It was as if he had abandoned Yijioga after using her. Bai Songling spent a lot of effort to convince Mother Qing that he did not know that Yijioga was going to the mountain to collect herbs with him. After knowing this, Prince Dongling immediately sent someone to the mountain with them to find Yijioga's whereabouts. Sorry, Mother Qing is used to worrying. If I don't tell her that I will go out with you, she will be worried. Yijioga said awkwardly. She knew very well how naggy Mother Qing was. Bai Songling must have suffered a lot. As long as you are safe. But if you want me to be your shield next time, you can tell me in advance. I will definitely cooperate. Bai Songling said lightly. Thank you. Yijioga smiled embarrassedly. At this time, Wan Xiang also rushed over, followed by a few spiritual guards of the Prince of Dongling residence. It could be seen that Dongfang Ke attached great importance to Yijioga. When he heard that something had happened to her, he immediately sent out the most outstanding spirit guard in his residence. Eldest Miss Yi, you didn't. Wan Xiang raised his torch and walked over to Yijioga. Before he could finish speaking, he was stunned. His eyes flashed with a trace of amazement. Young Lady Yi, your face. Bai Songling's eyes widened as she looked at Yijioga. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. The sky was too dark and Yijioga was standing under the tree. He was so focused on talking that he didn't notice that Yijioga's face had changed. What's wrong? Could it be that she had hurt her face when she was in the demonic beast forest? She remembered that her face hurt terribly at that time. Yijioga hurriedly reached out to touch his face. His skin was as smooth as silk. She suddenly had a bad premonition and quickly asked, who has a mirror? But why would a group of men carry a mirror with them? Later on, a spiritualist with a water spiritual root made a small puddle for Yijioga. Yijioga stood next to the puddle and looked at it. She suddenly felt as if she had been struck by lightning. A peerless beauty appeared on the surface of the water. Curved eyebrows, long eyelashes, and a straight nose. Her white and flawless skin revealed a faint pink color. Her cherry mouth was as delicate as a rose petal. Especially her pair of charming eyes. They were as clear as the spring water. Her beautiful eyes were filled with spiritual energy. Damn, why does she look like a white lotus? Yijioga couldn't accept this kind of honor. Eldest Miss Yi, what's wrong? Bai Songling looked at Yijioga's painful appearance and felt very strange. Wasn't becoming beautiful something to be happy about? Why did she look like this? No, I'm just not used to it. Yijioga shook her head. She looked up and saw that the group of male spiritualists had a stunned expression on their faces. Yijioga suddenly felt a little emotional. It seemed that no matter where she was, a world that looked at one's face. Eldest Miss Yi, it's getting late. Mother Qing must be very worried about you. Why don't we go back first? Bai Songling said. If they went back now, they would be in time to open the city gate. Okay. Yijioga put on the curtain hat, turned over and mounted the big black horse. She followed Bai Songling and the others to Shangjing. It was just before dawn when they returned to Shangjing. The soldiers guarding the city were yawning and sleepily walking out. As soon as they saw the waist token of the Ministry of Penalty that Wan Xiang took out, they respectfully welcomed them into the city. Yijioga rode the horse back to their mansion with Bai Songling and Wan Xiang. Those spiritualists had to go back to the prince's mansion of Dongling to report. At this time, Mother Qing had not slept all night. She was anxiously pacing back and forth in Wan Xiang's mansion. As soon as she saw Yijioga, she asked excitedly, Eldest Miss, where have you been? I'm so worried about you. Didn't I tell you that I went to the mountains to collect herbs? Yijioga got off the horse and said. Why did you lie to me that you went to the mountains with Lord Bai? Mother Qing complained discontentedly. This question was embarrassing. Bai Songling was beside them. Yijioga hurriedly pulled Mother Qing to the house and said in a low voice, I'll explain it to you later. Okay. Mother Qing also found it was not appropriate to pursue these things in front of outsiders, so she did not say more. After entering the house, Yijioga asked Mother Qing, why did you come here in the middle of the night? Not long after you left this morning, the master brought someone to Zilin Garden and said that he wanted to see you. I told him that you were recuperating and it was not convenient for you to see guests. But he did not believe me and shouted to kill you. He even smashed the door. I found that something was wrong, so I hurriedly came to find you. Mother Qing originally wanted to ask Wan Xiang for help, but she did not expect that it was Bai Songling who came to open the door. At that time, she thought that eldest miss was cheated by Bai Songling and even wanted to kill him. How did father know that I was not in the yard? Yijioga frowned and thought of Mammy Su who hid in the demon beast forest to ambush her. It was obvious that someone in the Yi mansion was monitoring her, and this person was very powerful. I don't know, but let's go back quickly. I'm afraid that if we are late, the master will catch up to Yaoguang Garden and catch Xinzhu and the others to vent his anger. Before Mother Qing left, she asked Xinzhu to take the other maidservants and run to Fourth Miss to take refuge. Okay, let's go back now. Yijioga nodded and then said to Bai Songling and Wan Xiang, I'll have to trouble you to send a message to His Highness for me. Tell him that the spiritual grass has been found. After I finish the matter in the Yi mansion, I will go find him. After saying that, he took Mother Qing and rushed to the Yi mansion. Chapter 97. At this moment, Yaoguang Yuan was in a state of chaos. Xinzhu brought along a servant girl from Purple Forest Yuan and hid in a remote room in Yaoguang Yuan. Qing Hu and Qing Lu were comforting them softly. Fifth Aunt's face was pale as she looked at the situation outside through the window. Yi Yuxuan frowned and shouted at Yi Rui, who was blocking in front of her, "What are you doing?" "Father, I can't let you take Xinzhu and the others away." Yi Rui was small, but she stood bravely in front of Yi Yuxuan with her arms open. She didn't look like she was going to back down. "They're not servants of Yao Guang Yuan. What business do you have?" Yi Yuxuan said impatiently. He had already let Mother Qing run away. He definitely couldn't let the remaining servant girls go. He couldn't deal with Yi Jilga, but he could kill a few of her servant girls. "Although they're not servants of Yao Guang Yuan, they're still very important to me." Yi Rui racked her brains to think of an excuse. Before Big Sister brought them back, she had to stall her father. "What's so important about them to you?" Yi Yuxuan didn't believe her. They were just a group of servant girls. How important could they be? They can help me clean the pill furnace and organize my pill refining notes." Yi Rui couldn't think of any other excuse and could only say random things. "Ha!" Yi Yuxuan sneered and said, "You let the servants of Purple Forest Yuan clean your pill furnace and organize your pill refining notes. Then what's the use of the servants in your courtyard?" Before Yi Rui could finish, she was forcefully interrupted by Yi Yuxuan. "Since the servants in your courtyard can't be used, then there's no point in keeping them. Sell them all." When Qing Hu and Qing Lu heard this, they couldn't help but shiver. They were really afraid that Yi Yuxuan would tie them up as well. "No, they're just as useful." Yi Rui hurriedly shook her head. "I'll say it here today. You can only keep one servant of Purple Forest Yuan and Yao Guang Yuan." Yi Yuxuan's eyes were gloomy. He released the aura of a fifth-rank pill refiner and pressed down on Yi Rui like a mountain. He was very angry and felt that his painstaking efforts had been wasted. Fourth girl, this ingrate, was actually siding with an outsider and supporting Yi Jilga in every aspect. If he doesn't teach this damned girl a lesson today, she might turn into a second Yi Jilga. Yi Rui's face was pale and her eyes widened in horror. He felt that Yi Yuxuan had merged with the sinister and terrifying evil cultivator in the basement. Cold sweat seeped from her forehead and back, drenching her clothes in an instant. Yi Yuxuan thought that his aura had suppressed her, and his face revealed a complacent smile. Fifth concubine found that her daughter was not quite right and was about to open the door to go out. "Fifth concubine, you can't." Qing Hu hurriedly stopped fifth concubine. Just now, Yi Rui had specifically told her mother not to appear in front of Yi Yuxuan, in case she angered him again. "At most, I'll just be beaten by master." Fifth concubine pushed Qing Hu away and rushed out to pull her daughter into her arms. Only then did he realize that her whole body was drenched, her whole body was trembling, and her pupils were dilated as if she was in a nightmare. Rui, what's wrong?" Fifth concubine was a big child. She patted her daughter's little face, but she didn't see any reaction from her. She hurriedly looked towards Yi Yuxuan and cried, "Master, Rui is not good. Quickly look at her. Stop pretending in front of me." Yi Yuxuan thought that they were acting and glanced at the two of them with disdain. Then, he ordered the guards behind him, "Go in and tie up all the servants. Don't leave a single one alive." Songbai hesitated for a moment and asked in a low voice, "What about the people from Yaoguang Garden?" Yi Yuxuan looked down at fifth concubine, who was at a loss. The corner of his mouth revealed a sinister smile and said, "Tie them up together." "Yes." Songbai no longer hesitated and immediately rushed in with his men, chasing Pearl, Qing Hu, and Qing Lu out. Fifth concubine, help! Qing Hu and Qing Lu shouted in panic. When fifth concubine heard Qing Hu and Qing Lu's cries, she finally came back to her senses. She hugged Yi Rui and begged Yi Yuxuan bitterly, "Master, these two servant girls are Rui's personal servant girls. They have always taken good care of her. Please spare them." She didn't have the ability to save the people in Purple Forest Park, but she had to protect Qing Hu and Qing Lu. Rui's personal servant girls? Yi Yuxuan's gloomy eyes swept over Qing Hu and Qing Lu. His fierce expression caused people to tremble. Fifth concubine opened her mouth but didn't dare to reply. Looks like these two servant girls instigated Rui to disobey me. Yi Yuxuan nodded to himself, then ordered Songbai, bring these two servant girls to the torture room and beat them to death. Master! Fifth concubine screamed mournfully. She never thought that her pleading would bring about a fatal disaster to Qing Hu and Qing Lu. Let the servants in the residence come over and see what happens if they do something wrong. In the future, they will know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Yi Yuxuan said coldly. Yes. Songbai nodded and immediately called out to the guards, what are you still standing there for? Why aren't you dragging them to the torture room? Yes. The two guards were tall and sturdy, and their eyes were extremely wretched. They laughed as they walked towards Qing Hu and Qing Lu. Their two large hands deliberately grabbed their small breasts, obviously wanting to take the opportunity to jam oil. Courting death. At this time, an angry shout accompanied by the sharp sound of the wind came. A whip flashing with purple light lashed towards the two guards. The two guards screamed as their arms unnaturally drooped down. Their tendons and bones were all broken. Eldest young miss. Qing Mama. Qing Hu and Qing Lu had tears in their eyes as their faces were filled with surprise. Yi Jioga wore a veil hat and held the Thunder Snake illusion whip as he stood in front of them to protect them. Qing Mama hurriedly untied the two servant girls. Yi Jioga, you still have the face to come back. Yi Yuxuan raised his hand and pointed at Yi Jioga as he shouted. Father even has the face to bring a man outside to make a ruckus in his own backyard. How can I not have the face to come back? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows as he spoke in an unruly manner. What nonsense are you saying? These are my personal guards, how are they outside men? Moreover, I only had them punish a few disobedient servants. What does this have to do with the backyard? Yi Yuxuan heard Yi Jioga mock him for wearing a green hat and his face became crooked from anger. Is that so? I wonder what wrong the servants in Fourth Sisters and my courtyard did to actually make father muster such a large force to punish them. Yi Jioga sneered. You didn't return at night. Not only did these servants not report it, they even helped you cover up your mistake. They deserve to die 10,000 times. Also, those dog servants from Yaoguang Yuan who taught the young master and instigated Fourth Miss to go against me also deserve to die. Yi Yuxuan said sinisterly. Chapter 98. Then why don't you ask me why I didn't come home last night? Yi Jioga asked. You know what shameful things you've done. Do you still have the face to ask me? Yi Yuxuan had a look of, I don't have a shameless daughter like you. Father, you're wrong. I really have the face to ask you about what I've done. I originally wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect that you wouldn't distinguish between right and wrong and want to kill me. Do you hate me so much that you want me to die? Although Yi Jioga already knew that his father was a scumbag, he still felt helpless sometimes. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm teaching you for your own good. How could Yi Yuxuan admit that when he saw Yi Jioga, he would think of the matter of him marrying into her family? He simply wished that she could die. Is that so? Father is so considerate of your daughter. You should be happy to see your daughter like this. Yi Jioga said as he raised his hand and took off the veil hat on his head. The golden morning sun shone on her beautiful facial features, and her fair and flawless skin shone with a jade-like radiance. Her pair of charming eyes were like the clear ripples of spring water. Her beautiful eyes were full of spiritual energy. She was like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world, pure and untainted. If it was someone else's father, he would be happy to see his ugly daughter become a beauty. Yi Yuxuan, on the other hand, looked as if he had seen a ghost. He couldn't help but take a few steps back as a trace of fear flashed across his face. It was Mother Qing's first time seeing Yi Jioga after restoring his appearance. She couldn't help but blurt out, Madam. Madam? Could it be that he and his mother looked alike? Yi Jyoga's memories of his mother were already very vague. Every time he thought of her, he could only remember her thin and weak body and her kind but pale face. Eldest miss, if Madam knows that you have restored your appearance, she will definitely be happy for you in the underworld. Mother Qing looked at Yi Jyoga's face and wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. When Yi Yuxuan heard the words, in the underworld, his expression changed again. No matter how much he hated Yun Tianwei, he couldn't deny that Yun Jiaojiao was a gentle and virtuous woman. She didn't have the aura of a delicate girl, and she was very gentle and considerate to him. He had done countless unforgivable things to her. Father, are you happy to see your daughter recover her appearance? Yi Jyoga intentionally walked a few steps towards Yi Yuxuan. Happy, happy. Yi Yuxuan hurriedly nodded, but his footsteps involuntarily retreated. Then he turned around and ran away as if he was being chased by a ghost. Song Bai hurriedly brought his men to carry the two armless guards and followed Yi Yuxuan out of the courtyard. Yi Jyoga couldn't help but ponder as he watched Yi Yuxuan flee. With how despicable and shameless Yi Yuxuan was, he was actually scared away by her face that looked like his ex-wife. He must have done something extremely guilty. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so scared. Eldest young lady, quickly come and take a look at Rui. Fifth aunt shouted hoarsely. She was afraid of attracting Yi Yuxuan's attention, so she didn't dare to make a sound. Only now did she dare to ask for help. What's wrong with fourth sister? Yi Jyoga quickly squatted down to take a look. He saw that Yi Rui had fainted in fifth concubine's arms, and her entire body was drenched in cold sweat. She reached out to take Yi Rui's pulse and found that her pulse was slow and rapid. It was a sign that she was in a state of panic, but fortunately, it wasn't serious. Fourth sister is fine. She was just frightened. Hurry and bring her back to change her clothes so that she doesn't catch a cold. Yi Jyoga stood up and saw Jinzhu, Qinghu, Qinglu, and the others looking at her in fear. She said, "It's fine. Go back to Purple Forest Park and do what you need to do. Qinghu, Qinglu, go boil some hot water for fourth young lady to wipe her body." With Yi Jyoga's order, the frightened servant girls immediately calmed down and consciously went to work. After Yi Rui changed her clothes, Yi Jyoga pricked a few needles on her body. The little girl suddenly opened her eyes and waved her hands and feet wildly. She screamed in panic, "Go away, go away." She looked as if she had just come out of the basement. Fourth sister, it's fine. Eldest sister is here. Yi Jyoga held Yi Rui's small hand tightly and comforted her. Yi Rui slowly calmed down and looked at Yi Jyoga blankly. Eldest sister. It's fine. You are very safe now. Have a good sleep. You will be fine when you wake up. Yi Jyoga comforted her gently. Yi Rui's tensed body slowly relaxed. Then, she closed her eyes and fell asleep again. Eldest young lady, what happened to Rui? Fifth concubine's face was still snow white. Previously, Yi Jyoga had only said that Yi Rui was frightened when she was kidnapped. Now, it seemed that it wasn't as simple as a scare. It's fine. Yi Jyoga didn't intend to tell fifth concubine about the basement. It was useless to tell her. What could she do? It's all my fault. I can't protect my daughter and the servant girls by my side. Other than being despised by master, I'm useless. I might as well die. Who knows, I might as well let Rui regain some face. Fifth concubine said with tears in her eyes. If you think like this, then you are extremely useless. Yi Jyoga said coldly. Dying is easy. Living is difficult. If you really think for Rui, shed fewer tears and do more things. With that, he stood up and left. She was exhausted today. Whether fifth concubine could stand up or not depended on her own awareness. Mother Qing followed Yi Jyoga's steps. As soon as she entered Purple Forest Park, she immediately asked, Eldest young lady, how did your face suddenly recover? This time, when I went into the mountains to pick herbs, I accidentally picked a jade grass. I didn't expect that after eating it, the black scars on my face would disappear. Yijioga didn't say that wet nurse Su ambushed her. Eldest young lady is being perfunctory with me again. Mother Qing obviously didn't believe it. It's true. If you don't believe me, look. I also picked up a spirit beast. It was the one that brought me to pick the jade grass. Yijioga quickly grabbed the fat black rat. What kind of spirit beast is this? Mother Qing took a closer look and suddenly said with some disgust. Why is it a rat? Although this fat black rat looked quite cute, it couldn't change the fact that it was a rat. The fat black rat felt Mother Qing's disgust. It immediately puffed out its chubby chest and squinted its eyes. It looked at Mother Qing with disgust. It had a look that said, "You stupid mortal, this uncle doesn't care about you." Then it went back into Yijioga's bag. This fat head rat even became a spirit. Mother Qing couldn't help but laugh. She finally believed that this fat black rat brought good luck to eldest young lady. She immediately asked happily, "What does this fat head rat like to eat?" "This old servant will get someone to prepare it. This is not urgent. I have something for you to do." Yijioga told her about the matter of someone in Yi Mansion watching their purple forest park. Finally, he said, "Although Yi Mansion has many spies, but to be able to accurately guess my whereabouts, this person is definitely not simple. We must find her." Chapter 99. Don't worry, eldest Mississippi. I'll definitely find the culprit. Mother Qing nodded seriously and decided to start investigating from Purple Forest Park. Yijioga was at ease with Mother Qing handling things. She was tired and sleepy, so she went to sleep after bathing and changing clothes. When she woke up, she found it was just past noon. She planned to go to Dongling Wangfu to see how Imperial Consort she was doing. She put on her hat and got on the carriage. She went to Wan Xiang and Bai Songling's mansion first. Wan Xiang went to the Ministry of Justice, so only Bai Songling was at home. He was surprised to see Yijioga and asked, "Eldest miss, why are you here? Is everything settled?" He thought Yijioga would be busy for a few days. "It's all done." Yijioga didn't want others to know about her conflict with Yi Yuxuan. "I just came back from Dongling Wangfu. His Highness and Imperial Consort were very happy to hear that you found spiritual herbs in Monster Forest. They said if you need anything, just let them know." Bai Songling smiled. Actually, Dongfang Ke wanted to go and help after knowing what happened to Yi Mansion. Unfortunately, Yi Yuxuan was on the Crown Prince's side. Seeing him would only add fuel to the fire. "I don't dare to give orders. Brother Bai, if it's convenient, please take me to Dongling Wangfu," Yijioga said. It wasn't convenient for her to go to Misty Rain Tea House alone. "Of course, follow me." Bai Songling had nothing to do in the mansion anyway. Yijioga followed Bai Songling into the mansion secretly. She didn't expect Dongfang Ke to not be there. Yijioga went straight to the courtyard to see Imperial Consort Shi. Seeing her, Nanny Zhou's face was full of enthusiasm. She reported the effects of Imperial Consort Shi's medicine. Imperial Consort Shi went to the toilet the whole day and is very weak now. She's resting in the room. It's fine. This is normal. Removing blood clots meant running to the toilet. Imperial Consort Shi was resting. Hearing Yijioga came, she forced herself up from the bed to see her. "Imperial Consort Shi, don't be so polite. Quickly lie down." Yijioga quickly persuaded. She personally took a red embroidered peony pillow and placed it behind her. "My body is really useless. I've let you laugh at me." Imperial Consort She was really weak and leaned on the bed. "Her ladyship looks much better." Yijioga carefully looked at noble Consort Shi. Although she was dispirited, the pustules and rotting flesh on the right side of her face had improved. The pustules had already begun to form scabs and were no longer oozing pus. The stench of rotting flesh had also faded a lot. The right medicine is indeed different. I also feel much better. Imperial concubine, she smiled. When the clotted blood is expelled, the effects will be even more obvious. Yijioga smiled as he recounted how he had obtained the blue jade water grass in the mountains. Imperial concubine, she was overjoyed when she found out that she didn't have to suffer the death of 1,000 cuts. After she calmed herself down, she couldn't help but ask Yijioga, "When you came in, I wanted to ask why you're wearing a veil hat." "Because I took some herbs in the mountains and restored my original appearance. I'm still not used to it, so." Yijioga smiled embarrassedly. She really wasn't used to walking around with a white lotus face. "Silly girl, becoming beautiful is a good thing. Why are you hiding it? Quickly take off your hat and let me see, Imperial concubine," she said kindly. Yijioga put his hand on the brim of the hat. Before he took it off, he suddenly remembered something and asked, "Her ladyship, I heard that you often drank tea with my mother." "That's right. At that time, Ling Long and I often invited your mother into the palace. Your mother is a very good person, but her eyesight is too poor." Noble consort, she didn't hide her disdain for Yi Yuxuan at all. Although Yi Yuxuan was handsome, talented, eloquent, and considered a good son-in-law in Shangjing, she could still see that he was selfish, despicable, and shameless. He was a good son-in-law in Shangjing, but she could still see that Yi Yuxuan was selfish, despicable, and shameless. Other than being good-looking and eloquent, what other abilities did that pretty boy have? She took off her veil hat and revealed her true appearance. Imperial concubine, she was originally leaning against the bed, but when she saw Yi Yuxuan's appearance, she couldn't help but sit up straight. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. "Does she look like my mother?" Yijioga asked. "Yes, and no." Imperial concubine, she looked carefully and sat down again. "How?" Yijioga heard from Mother Qing that she was exactly the same as her mother. "Your mother was gentle, sentimental, and emotional. You are better than her in both appearance and temperament." Imperial concubine, she sighed with emotion. If Yun Jiaojiao was as stubborn as Yijioga, she wouldn't have fallen ill after Master Yun went missing. In the end, she wouldn't have given the Yun family's business to Yi Yuxuan. Her ladyship is too kind. Yijioga smiled and didn't talk about her mother anymore. Instead, she talked about the treatment. She planned to start the final detoxification after the pustules and rotten flesh on Imperial concubine, she's face were all scabbed. Imperial concubine, she said that she would listen to Yijioga's arrangements. Yijioga stayed for an hour before leaving. Dongfang Ke also came back. He had previously heard from Bai Songling that Yijioga had recovered her appearance, so he was still calm when he saw her. Moreover, he brought her a piece of bad news. Eldest Miss Yi, after old Master Su came out of seclusion today, he immediately sent people to bring Su Yufeng, who was locked in the ancestral temple, back to the Su family. Why did old man Su suddenly come out of seclusion? Yijioga was shocked. From Yi Yuxuan's expression, it seemed like he didn't know anything. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the mood to find trouble with her. "I also just heard the news. Old man Su has successfully advanced to Spirit Master." Dongfang Ke looked at Yijioga worriedly and said, "You have to be careful. Old man Su coming out of seclusion is the Su family's matter." "What does it have to do with me?" Yijioga didn't care much. If Su Yufeng came back, then so be it. As long as she dared to make a move, he could chop off her claws. "You don't know. Old man Su is from a grassroots family. His temper is explosive, unreasonable, and extremely protective. If Su Yufeng and her daughter say bad things about you in front of him, I'm afraid he will make things difficult for you." Dongfang Ke sighed. Could it be that he wants to personally teach a junior like me a lesson? Wouldn't he be shameless? That won't happen. I'm worried that he will say some unpleasant things. Dongfang Ke also felt that old man Su wouldn't. Then I'll just treat it as his fart. Yi Jioga said indifferently. No matter what, she was the Yi family's first daughter. If old man Su's words were too unpleasant, Yi Yuxuan and the Yi family would also be implicated. If Yi Yuxuan didn't care, then she wouldn't care even more. It's always good to be more prepared. Dongfang Ke advised. I understand. Yi Jioga nodded perfunctorily. She didn't take Dongfang Ke's words to heart. In her eyes, Su Yufeng and her daughter were just courting death. She could get rid of them before, and she could still get rid of them now. Dongfang Ke knew that it was useless to say anything more, so he didn't try to persuade her. After he sent Yi Jioga off, he returned to the study. After muttering to himself for a moment, he made a decision and ordered Lei Peng, prepare a horse, we're going to the relay station. Chapter 100. As soon as Yi Jioga returned to Purple Forest Park, Mother Qing anxiously came up and said, Eldest Miss, bad news, Master lifted second Miss's confinement. Oh. Yi Jioga nodded and sat down to drink tea. Why don't you find it strange at all? Mother Qing's old face was dumbfounded. When this news came out, the entire Yi mansion was shocked. What's so strange about it? Yi Jioga told him about old Master Su coming out of seclusion and bringing Su Yufeng home. With Yi Yuxuan's personality, he would definitely curry favor with this spirit master father-in-law. Naturally, he would release Yi Shanshan. This old man Su is really an old fool. His daughter did such a thing that's worse than pigs and dogs, yet he still has the face to bring her home. If I were him, I'd directly press Su Yufeng into a pig cage and drown her. Mother Qing said fiercely. I heard that old man Su is very protective of his people. Tell the people below to behave themselves and don't go out if there's nothing important. Yi Jioga was worried that Yi Yuxuan, that shameless scum of a father, would use her servants to curry favor with his father-in-law. Don't worry, First Mississippi. They know what to do. Under the training of Mother Qing, the maids of Purple Forest Park were even more sensitive to the movements of the Yi family than rabbits. Seeing the rise of the second Miss, what else could they not understand? Recently, they were even more well-behaved than quails. When they passed by the main courtyard, they would make a detour. They've suffered with me. I'll give each of them a red packet later as a way to calm their nerves. Yi Jioga was also helpless. Yi Yuxuan and Su Yufeng didn't dare to touch her, so they thought about touching the people around her every day. The servants in her courtyard were frightened every 2 or 3 days, and it was hard on them. What's so hard about it? Being able to serve young miss is their good fortune from their previous life. Mother Qing's words were not boasting. In the Yi mansion, there was no master like Yi Jioga who treated his servants as his own people. Although they would be scared out of their wits by master and madam from time to time, Yi Jioga would always come to their rescue in time, making them incomparably touched. Compared to those masters who beat and scolded their servants and often pushed them out to take the blame, Yi Jioga was simply the reincarnation of Buddha. The servants of Purple Forest Park had banded together after being frightened time and time again. Not to mention, Yi Jioga was very generous. Whether it was his monthly allowance or his tips, they were all sufficient. Mother Qing, don't be too harsh on them. Yi Jioga was busy all day long. Apart from Zhenju who served him closely, he had little contact with the other maids. In the words of Mother Qing, these girls still needed to be trained. Don't worry, First Mississippi. This old servant knows what to do. Mother Qing had recently discovered that the aptitudes of these 2 young maidservants were pretty good. She was preparing to train them to see if they could become the eldest Mrs. Henchmen in the future. Since Mother Qing said so, Yi Jioga could only let her do whatever she wanted. In the following days, Yi Jioga locked himself in the alchemy room and began refining the detoxification pill for noble consort Shi. The 1,000 silk grass was a very troublesome spiritual material. It had to be soaked in dew for an entire night before the membrane on its surface could be washed off. After washing it, he still had to pick out the messy filaments inside before he could refine pills. Yijioga busied himself for the better part of a day before he was done with the 1,000 silk grass. When she was preparing to concoct pills, she suddenly thought of the small bronze cauldron that her fat black rat had given her. She wondered what the effects would be if she used it to concoct pills. Yijioga took out the dusty small bronze cauldron. She didn't know what was going on, but the copper rust on it couldn't be washed off no matter how much she washed it. It looked really dirty and broken. If others saw her using this broken cauldron to concoct pills, they probably wouldn't dare to use it. Yijioga didn't dare to use the 1,000 silk grass as a test subject. She took some tianchi, borneal, dispersing blood grass, white bull gall, pangolin, yam, bitter ginger, and geranium grass to refine the most classic hemostatic pill. After she injected spiritual power into the small bronze cauldron, the small cauldron was like an old cow pulling a broken cart. It slowly grew bigger and bigger. Yijioga waited until she was about to fall asleep. Only then did the small cauldron finally become a normal size. At this moment, Yijioga already had an ominous premonition. However, she still held on to a glimmer of hope. She placed all the medicinal ingredients into the small bronze cauldron and began refining. The fire used in Yijioga's alchemy room were all ordinary flames. If she were to use her alchemy furnace to concoct pills, she would probably need the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. However, this small bronze cauldron didn't have a good tolerance for the flames. After burning for a long time, the medicinal ingredients inside still didn't melt. Yijioga gloomily looked at the fat black rat that was still sleeping soundly in the animal skin bag. Sure enough, cheap goods don't come cheap. You really can't count on free things. She let the small bronze cauldron slowly refine. She turned around and prepared to start refining the 1,000 silk grass. At this time, the copper bell in the corner of the alchemy room rang, indicating that there was something to report. Yijioga opened the door to the alchemy room and saw Mother Qing anxiously saying, "Missy, Master wants you to go to the hall." "Why?" Yijioga asked. Mother Qing lowered her voice and said, "I heard that Master Su brought Madam back." "What does their return have to do with me?" Yijioga disdainfully said. "Missy, you are, after all, Master's biological daughter. You have to give him this bit of face." Mother Qing helplessly said. They could do whatever they wanted at home, but in front of outsiders, they still had to maintain the facade of a loving father and filial daughter. Otherwise, everyone in Shangjing would laugh at them. "All right, I'll go take a look." Yijioga returned to her room and changed out of the cloth clothes she was wearing for alchemy. She wore an ice blue long dress. Her black hair was combed into a snake bun. On the top of her head, there was a jade hairpin made of begonia and pearls. A thumb-sized pearl hung down, making her cheeks even whiter and more beautiful. "Missy is really beautiful," Mother Qing said with satisfaction. She believed that Su Yufeng and her daughter would be incomparably shocked if they saw Missy's current appearance. Yijioga smiled and leisurely walked towards the hall with Mother Qing and Jinzhu. As soon as he reached the outside of the hall, he heard a loud and clear voice. "Yushuan, it's not that I want to criticize you, but how could you send your pregnant wife to a place like the ancestral temple to suffer? When I married Yufeng to you, what did you say? Have you forgotten all about it?" "Yes, yes, yes. Father-in-law is right," Yi Yushuan replied in a low voice. "Father, don't scold Master. It's all my fault. I didn't take care of the backyard well, which made Master angry." After Su Yufeng persuaded her father, she softly said to Yi Yushuan, "Master, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. Don't talk about the past. This time, you come back and take care of the baby." Yi Yushuan's tone was incomparably gentle. There was even a trace of annoyance as he said, "If I had known that you were already 3 months pregnant, I definitely wouldn't have sent you to the ancestral temple to suffer." Chapter 101. Su Yufeng was pregnant. Yi Jioge couldn't help but frown. This was out of her expectations. According to the time, Su Yufeng should have been pregnant before she went to the ancestral temple. Did she not know that she was pregnant, or did she hide in the ancestral temple on purpose? TSK, to be able to endure for so long in the ancestral temple despite being pregnant last month, she was quite amazing. Eldest miss, what should we do? Mother Qing looked at Yi Jioge uneasily. She originally thought that even if Su Yufeng returned, Yi Yuxuan wouldn't treat her well. She didn't expect that she was actually pregnant. This way, her weight would skyrocket, and it would be difficult to use Yi Yuxuan to deal with her. It's fine. So what if she was pregnant? If she still didn't repent and continued to cause trouble, she would still take care of her. Yi Jioge gently stroked her hair, tidied up her appearance, and continued to walk towards the hall. Songbai saw Yi Jioge coming from afar and cleverly went to report, Master, Madam, Elder Su, eldest miss is here. Let her in. Yi Yuxuan said in a dignified manner. Yes. Songbai jogged out and smiled at Yi Jioge. Eldest miss, please. Yi Jioge glanced at the lackey before walking into the hall. She saw Su Yufeng sitting in the first seat on the right. She wore a misty cloud-patterned satin dress, her cheeks were round, and her belly was slightly protruding. Being able to take care of herself so well after 3 months of pregnancy, it seemed that she didn't suffer much at the ancestral temple. Yi Shanshan sat next to Su Yufeng and held her hand tightly. She had lost a lot of weight after being grounded. Her chin was sharp, her eyes were big, and her waist was slender. Her white plum-patterned dress made her look even more delicate and pitiful. Yi Yuxuan was sitting in the first seat on the left with a straight face. A tall old man wearing a cyan robe sat in the first seat. His hair was pure white, his eyes were as big as copper bells, and his skin was dark. He looked very mighty. At this moment, he turned his head to ask Su Yufeng, "Who is this girl?" It seemed that he didn't recognize Yi Jioge at all. Su Yufeng couldn't hear her father's question at all. She looked at Yi Jioge in shock. She heard that Yi Jioge looked very similar to Yun Jiaojiao when he recovered his appearance. But she didn't expect it to reach this point. Your daughter greets father and old master Su. Yi Jioge also bowed to great-grandfather Su on account of his age. She had the demeanor of a young lady from a noble family. You're Yi Jioge? Old Master Su frowned. His impression of Yi Jioge was that of an ugly and wretched fool. How did she suddenly become a beauty? Yi Shanshan looked at Yi Jioge with jealousy and said in a neutral tone, I didn't think that after not seeing you for a while, you would become a swan from a toad. Fourth sister, you flatter me. I didn't think that after father grounded you for so long, you still haven't changed your bad habit of speaking without thinking. Yi Jioge smiled indifferently. Jioge, how can you talk to your little sister like that? Su Yufeng completely forgot that she was in a sorry state when she was driven out of the Su family. She arrogantly reprimanded, you don't have the least bit of family upbringing. Madam is right. Jioge will definitely learn from you in the future. Next time you go to the ancestral shrine, you must remember to inform me in advance. Yi Jioge respectfully replied. Su Yufeng's face paled and her expression became incomparably ugly. Grandfather, look at big sister. Mother only said one sentence to her, and she retorted to mother like this. Yi Shanshan said to old master Su in a spoiled manner. Second sister, what do you mean by that? Yi Jioge pretended to be surprised and asked, could it be that it's wrong for me and madam to learn from family upbringing, or do you think it's wrong for us to go to the ancestral shrine? Yi Shanshan was rendered speechless by Yi Jioge's words. Alright, Jioge, your mother just said one sentence to you. Don't talk back so easily. Yi Yuxuan put on the airs of a father. When Yi Jioge heard Yi Yuxuan say that Su Yufeng was her mother, the anger in her heart couldn't help but spew out. She could tolerate anything Yi Yuxuan said, but this was the only thing she couldn't tolerate. She looked at Yi Yuxuan and said word by word, my mother's surname is Yun, not Su. Forget it, old master. Jyoga has grown up. It's normal for us to not be close. Please don't blame her. Su Yufeng's eyes were filled with tears. She bit her lips and looked delicate and pitiful. Big sister, how can you treat mother like this? People always say that the grace of raising is greater than the grace of life. Mother raised you from a young age and always thinks of you when there's something good. Even I can't compare to her. Is this how you repay her? Do you still have a conscience? Yi Shanshan scolded. It could be seen that she had been brewing these words in her heart for a long time. That's right. Yi Jyoga smiled and said mockingly, if madam hadn't raised me from a young age, I wouldn't have become a famous good-for-nothing ugly girl in Shangjing. Both Su Yufeng and Yi Shanshan's expressions changed. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. Enough. Old Master Su suddenly slammed the table and the mahogany table immediately shattered. Previously, others told this old man that the eldest miss of the Yi family is arrogant and despotic. She contradicts the mistress, bullies her younger sister, and even looks down on her father. This old man didn't believe it at that time. Now that this old man has seen it with his own eyes, she really is a little hussy who doesn't know the rules. Old Master Su's voice was full of energy, causing everyone's ears to ring. Even the servants outside could hear it clearly. Him using a little hussy to describe Yi Jyoga was no different from pointing at her and calling her a little slut. Old Master Su was being overbearing. Yi Jyoga didn't plan on backing down. The corner of her mouth curled up, and her cold voice rang out, previously, others told me that old Master Su has a protective nature, inverts black and white, and can't tell right from wrong. At that time, I didn't believe it. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, he really is a righteous old thing who bullies the younger generation. You. Old Master Su had been in Shangjing for so many years, but this was the first time he had been insulted by a junior. He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. Rebellious girl, how dare you speak to old Master Su like that? Hurry up and kneel. Yi Yuxuan slammed the table, looking even more agitated than old Master Su. Yi Jyoga didn't say anything. She just stared straight at him, and a pair of beautiful eyes that resembled Yun Jiaojiao's shot out a blazing light. Yi Yuxuan felt guilty the moment he saw Yi Jyoga's face. He couldn't help but shift his gaze away, and dryly said to old Master Su, father-in-law, Jyoga is young and insensible, and offended you. Please don't take it to heart. That's right, father, I beg you, for my sake, let Jyoga off this time. Su Yufeng also stood up, and said with tears in her eyes, Jyoga lost her mother when she was young, so her personality is a little spoiled. She will be more sensible in the future. Chapter 102. Mother, this isn't the first time big sister contradicts you. You endure it for father every time, your daughter really feels sorry for you. Yi Shanshan suddenly turned around and knelt down in front of old Master Su. She cried, grandfather, please seek justice for mother. That wronged look, it was as if Yi Jyoga had done something unforgivable to them. Good. Old man Su pointed at Yi Jyoga and shouted angrily, you little hussy, relying on Master Yun's power, you don't even put father and mother in your eyes. If you continue like this, you will become a monster. Today, this old man will help Master Yun discipline you, this unfilial and disloyal thing. After saying that, he actually raised his palm and slapped towards Yi Jyoga. Yi Jyoga didn't expect that old man Su, as a spirit master, would actually lower himself to attack a junior like her. It was already too late to take out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. She could only pour all of her spiritual energy into her hands, preparing to take this move head-on. At this time, Mother Qing's skinny figure suddenly rushed out and blocked in front of Yi Jyoga. A boom sound rang out. Old man Su's palm glowed with a faint golden phosphorescence heavily landed on Mother Qing's body. Mother Qing's body flew out like a kite with a broken string, heavily landing on the ground. Her face was like golden paper, and her lips were deathly pale. With a wah sound, she spat out mouthfuls of dark red blood. Pearl was scared out of her wits at the side, directly paralyzed on the ground. Yijioga hurriedly went forward to take Mother Qing's pulse, discovering that her internal organs had been shaken out of place by Old Man Su's palm, and her injuries were extremely serious. Yijioga's expression was solemn. She took out the thunder fire needle and immediately sealed all of Mother Qing's major acupuncture points to stop the bleeding. She also took out an essence-cultivating pill for her to barely stabilize her injuries. This old man finally knows why Yijioga, this little hussy, is so arrogant and willful. So it's all because of these dog servants causing trouble on the side. Old Man Su originally wanted to teach Yijioga a lesson, but was blocked by an old servant, making him very indignant. Hearing this, Yijioga's pupils seemed to be on fire, shooting out rays of extreme hatred. She reached out her hand towards the thunder snake illusionary whip wrapped around her waist. "Miss, don't go." Mother Qing used all her strength to press Yijioga's hand. Her muddy old eyes were pleading, "Don't let this old servant suffer this palm for nothing." Yijioga's body trembled and tears of humiliation flashed in his eyes. In the end, he gritted his teeth and withdrew his hand. Mother Qing was right. I'm not old Master Su's opponent at all. It's not wise to go against him now. Just you wait, one day, I will definitely make this rude and overbearing old fellow pay the price. Yijioga forcefully spat out the foul air in her stomach. She helped Mother Qing up and coldly said to Yi Yuxuan, "Father, your daughter knows her wrongs. Can you let me go now? It's good that you know your mistake. Go back." Yi Yuxuan knew that Yijioga regarded Mother Qing as his family. Elder Su had taught Yijioga a lesson by beating up Mother Qing like this. He nodded and let her go. "Father, you spoil big sister too much. That's why she's so lawless," Yi Shanshan said with dissatisfaction. She wasn't willing to let Yijioga leave just like that. "Shanshan, don't say any more. It's good enough that Jioga knows her mistake." Su Yufeng pulled Yi Shanshan's hand and said meaningfully, "We can't make her kneel and apologize." "Why not? Every time I say something wrong and make father unhappy, you punish me to kneel and apologize to father. Why doesn't big sister need to kneel and apologize?" Yi Shanshan pouted and said to old Master Su coquettishly, "Grandfather, don't you think mother favors big sister too much?" Shanshan is right. How can a simple, "I know my mistake," be enough? It's better to make her kneel and apologize to Yufeng. Old Master Su nodded in agreement. She also has to kowtow and apologize to you. Just now, big sister talked back to you. I was really angry when I heard it, but I didn't dare to scold her. Yi Shanshan covered her face and said with grievance, "Last time, I only said a few words to big sister and she slapped me several times. My face is swollen. How dare she treat you like this?" Old Master Su's thick eyebrows immediately stood up and he said to Yi Yuxuan fiercely, "It seems that this little bitch has to be taught a lesson. After she kowtows and admits her mistake to Yufeng, Shanshan, and the three of us, will take her down and beat her 50 times. Before old Master Su could finish, Yi Shanshan impatiently added, "Then slap her another 50 times. All right, slap her another 50 times. Treat it as a lesson to her." Old Master Su nodded as if it was a matter of course. "That's not good." Yi Yuxuan looked left and right, feeling a little awkward. If it was the Yijioga of the past, he would have executed it without hesitation. However, he suddenly remembered how good Yun Jiao was and couldn't bear to do it to Yijioga's face. "What is this? You're too soft-hearted. That's why you spoiled this little bitch to be so lawless." Old Master Su was a little impatient and directly said to the Su family's guards that he brought, "You guys do it yourself and bring this little bitch over here." "Yes." The Su family's guards were loyal to old Master Su and immediately nodded without hesitation to carry out the order. Yi Yuxuan frowned and wanted to stop the Su family's guards, but he was pulled back by Su Yufeng. "Old Master, father just came out of seclusion. Don't make him angry." You know his temper. If he gets angry, I'm afraid that even you will suffer. Su Yufeng said in a low voice. Yi Yuxuan immediately stopped in his tracks. Old Master Su had a bad temper. When his temper flared up, he didn't dare to ignore it. It was very possible that he would do it to him. Yi Jioge looked at the Su family's guards that were rushing towards him and turned to Yi Yuxuan and said, "Father, are you going to let the Su family's people act so presumptuously here? You were disrespectful to your elders first, that's why old master taught you a lesson." Yi Yuxuan avoided Yi Jioge's gaze. "Old master, how can you treat eldest miss like this?" Mother Qing's hair was disheveled as she sternly shouted. In her own family's territory, she was forced to kowtow by the Su family's people and was even slapped. They were trying to trample eldest miss to death. This old servant talks too much. Slap her 100 times first. Su Yufeng's eyes narrowed as a cold light shot out. Yes. The Su family's guards reached out to grab Mother Qing. Yi Jioge's eyes emitted a cold light as her body overflowed with killing intent. She flipped her hand and pulled out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip and injected all of her spiritual power into it. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip turned into a purple lightning snake. With a cold and fierce aura, it fiercely lashed towards the guards. Bang, bang, bang. Loud sounds rang out. The Su family's guards screamed as they were sent flying. When they landed on the ground, they spat out a few mouthfuls of blood along with pieces of their internal organs. Then, they fell limply to the ground, no longer breathing. Chapter 103. You little hussy, you actually dared to make such a vicious move just because of a slight disagreement. You simply have the heart of a snake and a scorpion. Old Master Su watched as the guard he had painstakingly nurtured was killed by Yi Jioge in a single move. The anger in his heart erupted like a volcano, causing his face to turn red. Although these guards weren't spirit guards, they were still carefully selected by him to keep up appearances. Great-grandfather Su, I respect you as an elder and am extremely respectful towards you. However, in order to help your daughter and granddaughter forcibly seize my Yun family's property, you actually dared to lay such a vicious hand on me. Let me tell you, even if you kill me today, my Yun family's property will not fall into your hands. Yi Jioge used his spiritual energy to say these words, which spread far and wide across the entire street. Damned hussy, what nonsense are you spouting? Grandpa Su was so angry that his beard trembled. He pointed at Yi Jioge and scolded, "How is my Su family not stronger than yours? Do I need to covet your Yun family's possessions? No matter how big your family's business is, can you leave it to your daughter or your granddaughter?" Yi Jioge sneered and said, "Killing me is not enough. If you have the ability, then kill my father as well. This way, your Su family can legitimately come and seize our family property." Not only did Yi Jioge want to kill great-grandfather Su, but he also wanted to ruin the old man's reputation. Damned hussy, I'll smash your mouth. Let's see if you still dare to talk nonsense. Old Master Su flew into a rage. In the next second, he appeared in front of Yi Jioge and attacked her with a golden palm. Yi Jioge swung the lightning snake illusionary whip in his hand, and a purple whip shadow tore through the air towards Old Master Su. Old Master Su neither dodged nor gave way. He raised his hand and wrapped it around the head of the lightning snake mirage whip. A golden light followed the whip and blasted towards Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge felt as if the hand holding the whip had been struck by a heavy hammer. The web between his thumb and forefinger went numb, and the whip was snatched away by Old Master Su. Old Master Su was very satisfied with this spiritual weapon, but he said righteously, "This spiritual whip is a lethal weapon in your hands. You are not worthy of using it." As he spoke, he raised his palm and slapped Yi Jioge's face. This time, he used 50% of his strength. If this palm really landed on Yi Jioge's face, his face would immediately be crippled. A furious red light flashed in Yi Jioge's eyes. The thunderfire needle slipped from her sleeve and was pinched between her slender white fingers. She was about to stab it into old Master Su's heart. At this moment, a thunderous clap suddenly came from behind old Master Su. Old Master Su's eyes widened, and he immediately countered with a palm strike towards the ambusher. That person suddenly stopped and said mockingly, "Old man Su, you're an old man with half your body buried in the earth. How dare you attack a little girl? Do you have any shame?" Old Master Su seemed to recognize this voice, and his hands immediately stopped moving. The red light in Yi Jioga's eyes flickered as he quickly withdrew the thunderfire needle. She turned her head to look at the door and saw Dongfang Ke entering in a wheelchair. His deep, dark eyes were looking at her worriedly. Beside him was a spirit master. He was tall and thin, and his eyes were deep. His temperament was like a tall mountain. This man was handsome, and his brows showed the vicissitudes of life. There was a very special attraction about him. He was probably the one who stopped old Master Su. "Gong Shifan, why are you here?" Old Master Su frowned as he looked at the handsome man. When Yi Jioga heard the name Gong Shifan, she was instantly shocked. Could this man be from the Gong family of Hundred Mu City? Hundred Mu City was a spirit city, and its status was much higher than Thunder Country. The current master of the Gong family was said to be an advanced spirit master. He was only one step away from becoming a great spirit master. It was no wonder that old Master Su didn't dare to fall out with the Gong family. "Last time, Pill Master Yi refined pills for my nephew. My big brother was very grateful and specially requested that if I passed by Shangjing, I should go and thank you." Gong Shifan smiled faintly. "Master Gong is too polite." Yi Yuxuan hurriedly walked out. He felt very proud to be personally visited by a spirit master. He didn't expect Gong Shifan to change the topic and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "I didn't expect to see such a good show." Yi Yuxuan instantly felt a little awkward. His father-in-law was shouting at his ex-wife's daughter in his mansion, and he just stood there without saying a word. If this spread out, it would indeed damage his reputation. What's there to see? This little wench is disobedient. What's wrong with me teaching her a lesson on behalf of her father and grandfather? As for you, you are an outsider. What face do you have to interfere with other people's family business? Old Master Su glared and said. Is that so? But your surname isn't Yun or Yi. How did this mansion become your family business? Gong Shifan smiled and said. My daughter married into this mansion. How is it not my family business? Old Master Su straightened his neck and said. When Su Yufeng heard this, she instantly felt that something was wrong. As expected, Gong Shifan immediately laughed and said, Old man Su, your words really opened my eyes. If you had a few more daughters and married them, wouldn't Shangjing be your world? Pfft. Even Yi Jioga couldn't help but laugh. He felt that this Gong Shifan was really a wonderful person. You. Old Master Su blew his beard and was about to quarrel with Gong Shifan, but he was stopped by Su Yufeng. Father, today is a good day for you to come out of seclusion and advance. Don't let your daughter's troubles ruin your good mood. After saying this, he gave Yi Shanshan a look. Yi Shanshan also knew that it would only be more embarrassing if her grandfather continued quarreling. She hurriedly pulled her grandfather's hand and said coquettishly, Grandfather, I heard that cousin has already prepared a banquet for you in the Su clan. We'll be going soon. It won't be good to keep the guests waiting. Humph. Old Master Su glared at Gong Shifan. With Yi Shanshan's company, he unwillingly walked towards the main entrance. Old Master Su, please wait for a moment. Dongfang Ke suddenly said. What is the matter, Your Highness Prince Dongling? Old Master Su was still rather polite to Dongfang Quebec. After all, apart from his identity as a prince, the Bai clan was also not to be underestimated. May I know where Old Master Su obtained the spirit whip? Dongfang Ke looked at the lightning snake illusionary whip in Old Master Su's hand and asked politely. Old Master Su was just about to say that this spirit whip was the weapon Yi Jioga used to kill the Su clan's guards, but Yi Jioga beat him to it and said, "I stole it. Old Master Su wanted to exterminate me and didn't even leave a spirit whip for me. Old Master Su, this lightning snake illusionary whip was gifted to young Lady Yi by this prince. If you like it, this prince can find a better spirit weapon and gift it to you in the future. How about it?" Dongfang Ke still had a refined and courteous appearance, but the words he said caused Old Master Su's face to turn green and white. "Old man Su, I didn't think that the first thing you did after coming out of seclusion was to bring your daughter back to snatch the property that Master Yun left for his granddaughter. You didn't even let go of a spirit whip. This kind of heroic deed is truly admirable." Gong Shifan cupped his hands hypocritically. Chapter 104. Old Master Su was so angry that his face turned red. He felt that he had lost all face. He didn't dare to fight Gong Shifan, so he could only throw the Thunder Snake illusionary whip at Yi Jioga's feet and scolded him fiercely, "Little wench, remember this." After that, he shook off Yi Shanshan's hand and turned to leave. "Grandpa, wait for me." Yi Shanshan hurriedly chased after him. Yi Jioga smirked and squatted down to pick up the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. Then, he dipped it in some blood and wrote a line of words on the Su family guards' corpses. Then, he threw their corpses towards the nearby houses. "Jioga, what are you doing?" Yi Yuxuan was shocked and hurriedly tried to stop Yi Jioga, but it was too late. The other corpses flew far away, and only the last corpse landed outside the Yi clan's gate. With a bang, it smashed right in front of Old Master Su's carriage. Old Master Su leaned forward to take a look and felt his vision darken. He was so angry that he almost fainted. There was a line of words written on the corpse of his loyal guard. "Robbing another's family business, ending his line of descendants, he shall die a horrible death." "Grandpa, are you okay?" Yi Shanshan was shocked and quickly patted his chest to help him breathe. Old Master Su caught his breath and was so angry that his eyes turned red. He was about to rush into the Yi clan to settle the score with Yi Jioga. "Grandfather, forget it, forget it. We'll have plenty of chances to deal with her in the future. Why do we have to do it in front of the Gong family and His Highness, Prince Dongling?" Yi Shanshan held on tightly to Grandfather Su. When they closed the door, they could deal with Yi Jioga however they wanted. But now that the Gong family and Prince Dongling were both at home, it wouldn't be good for grandfather to go in. Although Old Master Su was impetuous, he was not a fool. He knew in his heart that his granddaughter was right. It was already known that he had attacked Yi Jioga today. With Gong Shifan's personality, he would definitely spread his scandal everywhere. It was indeed inappropriate for him to kill his way back now. Old Master Su's chest heaved violently. He finally suppressed the anger in his heart and fiercely ordered the carriage driver, "Go." "What do we do with the corpse?" the driver asked cautiously with a pale face. He didn't expect that the guards who were valiantly following Old Master Su would be sent flying out of the Yi family like this. "Take him away." Great-grandfather Su squeezed out these two words through gritted teeth. The coachman immediately carried the guard's body up. He didn't dare to put it in the carriage, so he could only wrap it up in cloth and put it under his seat. Just like that, he rushed back to the Su residence. Su Junqing was currently receiving the distinguished guests who had come to congratulate Old Man Su on his advancement. When he heard that Old Man Su had returned, he immediately went out to welcome him. He did not expect to smell a faint smell of blood coming from the carriage from afar. He looked up and found that none of the guards who had followed Old Master Su out this morning were there. Only the Su family's carriage came back alone. He hurriedly went up to greet them, only to see Old Master Su jump down from the carriage with a black face, and Yi Shanshan also had a look of misfortune. "What's going on?" Su Junqing suddenly had a bad feeling. Didn't he say that he was going to settle the score with Yi Yuxuan and Yi Jioga? Why did he look like he had been bullied? Great-grandfather Su didn't want to lose face in front of his beloved grandson, so he waved his sleeves and entered the house. Yi Shanshan moved to Su Juanqing's side and told him what had happened at the Yi family. Dongfang Ke brought the Gong family to save Yi Jioge. Su Juanqing couldn't help but frown. Even the Gong family of Baimu City was involved. This was going to be troublesome. That's right. Yi Shanshan thought of Yi Jioge's true beauty and said jealously, I don't know what kind of seductive methods she used to make Dongfang Ke so infatuated with her. Dongfang Ke was once the dream lover of many noble ladies in Shangjing. Although a disaster had caused him to be unable to walk, his cultivation was still there, and he had the Bai family backing him up. He wasn't much worse than the crown prince. Oh right, where did those guards go? Su Juanqing asked again. Dead. Yi Shanshan swallowed her saliva and thought of Yi Jioge's ruthlessness in killing people. Dead? How did they die? Where's their corpse? Su Juanqing fired off a barrage of questions. They were whipped to death by Yi Jioge. Yi Shanshan told him what had happened. That spirit whip was really powerful. It would be great if grandfather could snatch it and give it to her. When Su Juanqing heard that the guards' corpses were written in blood and thrown around, his eyebrows jumped. He said to Yi Shanshan, hurry back and tell uncle to find the corpses of those guards and bring them back. The news of grandfather causing a ruckus in the Yi family would quickly spread throughout Shangjing. He had to minimize his losses. Today, grandfather advanced. Mother told me to accompany him. Yi Shanshan pouted. Today was a big day for the Su family. All the famous people in Shangjing would come to participate. She had been grounded for so long. She wanted to show her face at such a big event. She didn't want to go back. Grandfather hasn't been humiliated enough by you guys. Do you still want to stay and make him angry? Su Juanqing said with a sunken face. He originally didn't agree to grandfather bringing Su Yufeng back to cause trouble. He knew that a lot of people were watching Yi Jioge. It wasn't a wise move for grandfather to get involved at this time. However, he was impatient. After hearing Su Yufeng's tearful complaints, he anxiously ran away. He didn't expect to suffer such a big loss. It's not like I harmed him. Yi Shanshan muttered. If you want to blame someone, blame Yi Jioge. Why did you have to blame her? You still dare to talk nonsense? Why aren't you going? Su Juanqing's face was frighteningly gloomy. His voice was also frighteningly cold. If the corpses of our Su family's guards are missing, you and your daughter don't need to come to our Su family anymore. Yi Shanshan was frightened by Su Juanqing's coldness. She didn't dare to talk back and obediently sat on the carriage to return to the Yi family. At this time, Yi Yuxuan was sincerely inviting Gong Shifan to the main courtyard for a chat. Pill Master, you should be busy. I won't disturb you. Gong Shifan said. Yi Yuxuan's face turned green and red. He knew that Gong Shifan was referring to the corpses of the guards that Yi Jioge had thrown out. If he didn't hurry up and find them, it would be a big problem. Their Yi residents and Su residents were absolutely notorious. Pill Master Yi, seeing that you have a deep relationship with our Gong family, I still have to advise you to cherish your feathers. Don't ruin your reputation because of unrelated people. Gong Shifan paused and then said indifferently, after all, this mansion used to be surnamed Yun. You might have forgotten, but we haven't. When Yi Yuxuan heard this, the blood on his face disappeared. Although he was standing under the sun, he felt as if he had been stripped naked and thrown into the bone-chilling snow. He had lost all his face. Chapter 105. Su Yufeng saw that the situation wasn't right. She was afraid that Yi Yuxuan would really be moved by Gong Shifan's words, so she clutched her stomach and cried out, Master, this concubine's stomach hurts. Yi Yuxuan came back to his senses and hurriedly went to support her. After that, he hurriedly bid farewell to Gong Shifan and Dongfang Quebec. My body isn't feeling well, so I won't be accompanying the two of you. After that, he helped Su Yufeng up and quickly left, looking like he was fleeing. Seeing Yi Yuxuan and Su Yufeng lose face, Yi Jiuge felt an indescribable joy in his heart. She walked towards Gong Shifan and Dongfang Ke, bowing solemnly. Grandmaster Gong, Your Highness Prince Dongling, Jiuge will definitely remember the kindness you have shown me today. If they hadn't stopped her in time, she would have killed old Master Su out of anger, and the Thunderfire Needle would have been exposed. Miss Yi, you don't have to be so polite. Gong Shifan helped her up and laughed heartily. In the past, Master Yun had once gifted me a pill. Today, I have repaid the old man's kindness. Yi Jiuge knew that Gong Shifan was just being polite, but he was still very grateful to him. Young Lady Yi, old man Su is narrow-minded and vengeful. I'm afraid he will still deal with you. If you need any help from our Gong family, you can use this token to find us. Gong Shifan took out a palm-sized black token and handed it to Yi Jiuge. There was a mysterious eye engraved on the token, and inside it was the word, palace, in flamboyant calligraphy. In the Azure Billow continent, the color of black was respected, and this token was obviously very valuable. Yi Jiuge had not expected that Gong Shifan would actually give her a token. Her questioning gaze immediately landed on Dongfang Quebec. After all, he was the one who had brought her here. Dongfang Ke nodded and indicated for her to accept the token. Yi Jiuge hesitated for a moment before accepting the token. He cupped his hands in thanks and said, in that case, I'll thank Master Gong first. Miss Yi, you're too polite. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave. Gong Shifan cupped his hands and left in a flash. Your Highness. Yi Jiuge looked at Dongfang Quebec. What was going on? She had to be given an explanation. It's not convenient to speak here. Can eldest miss find another place? Dongfang Ke said in a low voice. If Prince Dongling doesn't mind, why don't you come and have a seat in my courtyard? Yi Jiuge said. Mother Qing was injured, she did not want to leave Yi Mansion. All right. Dongfang Ke nodded. Yi Jiuge wanted to go back and help Mother Qing, but he was rejected. No, this old servant can walk. Mother Qing leaned on Zhenju and said. She was just a servant. How could she let the eldest miss help her up personally? If word got out, others would think that their Purple Forest Park was a place without rules. Eldest miss, rest assured. This servant can support Mother Qing. Zhenju used to work as a watering maid. Although she didn't have much else, she still had a lot of strength. Seeing that Mother Qing insisted, Yi Jiuge didn't force her. Returning to Purple Forest Park, Yi Jiuge insisted on giving Mother Qing a new diagnosis and treatment. After using medicine to stabilize her condition, he went to greet Dongfang Quebec. Dongfang Ke was deep in thought under the red flower tree in Yi Jiuge's courtyard. He didn't even notice Yi Jiuge walking over. What is your highness thinking about? Yi Jiuge poured him a cup of hot tea. Dongfang Ke came back to his senses. Looking at Yi Jiuge's delicate and beautiful face under the sunlight, he couldn't help but lower his eyes and say, Eldest miss, are you wondering why the Gong family is showing goodwill towards you? That's right. Yi Jiuge didn't feel that the Gong family and grandfather's relationship was that good. Even if there was a relationship where they gave him medicine, it should be based on a transaction of gold and silver. That's because I told them that your medical skills are superb. You were even able to cure the demonic poison in my body and noble consort Xi's strange illness. Dongfang Ke raised his head and looked at Yi Jiuge apologetically. I didn't discuss it with you before making a decision. You won't blame me, right? You also want to help me. Why would I blame you? Yi Jiuge smiled and asked, does the Gong family have a patient? An, the youngest son of the Gong family's current patriarch, not only has a purple aptitude, he also inherited the Gong family's purest eye technique bloodline. At such a young age, he has already cultivated the white pupil technique. However, a year ago, he suddenly contracted an eye disease and became blind. The Gong family searched for spiritual doctors all over the world to treat him, but unfortunately, he still hasn't recovered, Dongfang Ke slowly said. Yi Jioge pondered for a moment, then said, I haven't seen the Gong family's young master's eyes, so I can't guarantee that I can cure him. The cause of blindness was complicated and not easy to treat, so she didn't dare to boast. That's not a problem. The Gong family isn't someone who only cares about the benefits in front of them. You just need to be on good terms with them. In the future, if you have news about Great Master Yun, just put in a few good words for the Gong family in front of him, Dongfang Ke said calmly. The Gong family didn't think that Yi Jioge would be able to treat their young master's eyes. What they cared about was Yun Tianwei's reputation. A few years ago, they had wanted to use Yi Jioge to find Yun Tianwei. However, at that time, Yi Jioge was simply too useless and had no value in cooperating with him. Only then did the Gong family invite Yi Yuxuan over to refine pills. If Yi Jioge hadn't said that she had obtained the treasure that her grandfather had specially left for her in the 10,000 feet abyss, the Gong family wouldn't have come forward to help her. Alright then. How could Yi Jioge dare to say that the matter of her being in the 10,000 feet abyss was fake? She was still searching for her grandfather's whereabouts. However, if the Gong family's goodwill was only for her to help treat the illness, then it wouldn't be a big deal. Her medical skills couldn't be compared to her grandfather's, but it was still much better than Yi Yuxuan's. If she had the chance, she would flip through Yi Yuxuan's medical records and see what medicine he had given to the Gong family's young master. Mr. Shifan is a forthright person and is someone worth befriending. You don't have to worry. Dongfang Ke was afraid that Yi Jioge would feel burdened, so he comforted her. I thought that the relationship between the Gong family and the Crown Prince would be better. Dongfang Ke's eyelids drooped slightly, his tone carrying a hint of ridicule. The Crown Prince always has a good relationship with any aristocratic family. Dongfang Ke's eyelids drooped slightly, his tone carrying a hint of mockery. The Crown Prince had always been high profile, especially when it came to the Gong family. He would make a big fuss, as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know that he had a good relationship with the Gong family. Yi Jioge immediately knew that if he really had a good relationship with the Gong family, then he and Gong Shifan should have come. It's getting late, I'll take my leave first. Dongfang Ke was an outsider after all, so it wouldn't be good for him to stay at Yi Jioge's place for too long. I'll send you off. Yi Jioge stood up and wanted to send Dongfang Ke off. No need. Dongfang Ke waved his hand and said, there are many things to do in your courtyard, go busy yourself. I'll go out by myself. Yi Jioge thought of Mother Qing's injuries, so she didn't insist and asked Jinzhu to help send the guest off. When she returned to Mother Qing's room, she saw Mother Qing propping herself up and anxiously saying, Young miss, why aren't you sending His Highness Prince Dongling off? This was such a good time to be alone. Chapter 106. His Highness doesn't allow me to send you off. Also, I'm worried about you. Yi Jioge and Dongfang Ke had known each other for a while and knew that he wasn't a pretentious person. If he said he wouldn't let her off, then he really wouldn't let her off. His Highness Dongling Wang was just being polite, why did you take it so seriously? This old servant is fine now, there's no need for you to worry. Mother Qing was so angry that she almost vomited blood again. Why was her young miss so dense? She had finally recovered her true appearance and was taking the opportunity to get to know young talents everywhere. Why was she still pushing away talents? How could she find a good husband like this? Yi Jioge didn't understand Mother Qing's intention to create a chance for her and Dongfang Quebec. She thought that her injuries had worsened and quickly stood up, rest well, I'll go refine some blood-clotting pills for you. Then, she left without waiting for Mother Qing to speak. Yi Jioge arrived at the pill refining room and saw the pill fire under the bronze cauldron slowly extinguishing. She just remembered that she was refining the blood-clotting pills. Now, it could be put to good use. It was just that he didn't know what grade of pill this slow cauldron was going to refine. Yijioga casually opened the cauldron and a faint medicinal fragrance instantly filled the entire pill refining room. Ah, this smell, could it be a high-grade pill? Yijioga was startled and was about to refine the pill. Suddenly, a fat black figure flew to the side of the cauldron like lightning. It turned out that the fat black rat that had been sleeping at the side had suddenly woken up. It puffed up its cheeks and its face immediately turned into a pufferfish. What are you doing? Yijioga suddenly had a bad feeling and quickly reached out to grab the fat black rat. However, the fat black rat spat a mouthful of colorless and odorless saliva at the cauldron. Damn! Yijioga didn't have time to teach the fat black rat a lesson and quickly fished out the pills. The blood-clotting pills that should have been red had turned white. Only one was dark red. Yijioga fiercely looked at the unhygienic fat black rat, causing her to waste a cauldron of pills. The fat black rat still didn't know that it had caused a disaster. It stretched out its little paw and shouted at Yijioga, "Pippi." It looked like it was asking her for money. You have to eat the saliva that you spat out yourself. How disgusting. Yijioga said disdainfully. Pippi. The fat black rat stamped its feet and puffed out its round cheeks. He looked as if he was going to fight to the death with him if he didn't pay his wages. Here, here, here. Yijioga didn't want this batch of saliva pills anyway, so he gave them all to the fat black mouse. The fat black rat was very professional. It only took the crimson pill and held it with its two little claws. It puffed up its cheeks and gnawed on it, leaving the rest untouched. Yijioga saw that it was eating with gusto and thought of its usual behavior as a nouveau riche. He couldn't help but wonder if there was really something special about this pill. She picked up a white pill and opened her spiritual eye to take a closer look. The surface of the pill was simple and unadorned, but the medicinal properties inside were evenly distributed. The most amazing thing was that there was no pill poison at all. It was frighteningly pure. One had to know that medicine was 30% poisonous. The grading of elixirs was based on the amount of impurities in the elixir. The fewer the impurities, the stronger the medicinal effect and the higher the grade. No matter how powerful a pill refiner was, they would not be able to concoct a pill without any impurities. The pills that the fat black rat concocted were simply top grade. How did it do it? Could it be related to the saliva it spat out earlier? The more Yijioga thought about it, the weirder it got. Seeing that there was still a bit of crimson pill left in the fat black rat's claws, he immediately snatched it over. Pippi. The fat black rat angrily jumped up and bared its little white teeth at Yijioga. You dare to snatch this lord's pills. Be careful that this lord will bite you to death. I'm just taking a look. I'll return it to you later. Yijioga carefully examined the crimson pill and realized that this pill was the complete opposite of the white pill. It was completely made up of pill poison and it was not an exaggeration to call it a poison pill. It seemed like all the impurities in the previous batch of pills were concentrated on this pill. Could it be that this little fellow was a rare divine beast? Yijioga looked at the poison pill and then looked at the stupid fat black rat. No matter how he looked at it, he couldn't link it to a divine beast. Pippi. The fat black rat stretched out its meaty claws and looked as if it wanted to quickly return it to this lord. Yijioga really couldn't figure anything out and could only return the pill to it. The fat black rat took back the pill and slipped behind the table. While gnawing, it peeked at Yijioga as if it was worried that she would snatch its food. Yijioga gave it a supercilious look and then put away the rest of the blood-clotting pill. Although Mother Qing's injuries had stabilized, the injuries to her internal organs could not be healed immediately. It would take a long time to recuperate. When Yijioga came in, Mother Qing had just coughed up blood on her handkerchief. When she saw Yijioga come in, she quickly put away her handkerchief and said with a smile, I just spat out another mouthful of extravasated blood. My chest feels much more comfortable. You still feel comfortable after spitting out blood? Yijioga knew that Mother Qing was definitely comforting her. Grandpa Sue's palm was so heavy and she was so old. How could she be fine? It's nothing. I'll be fine in 2 days. Mother Ching shook her head and said. I just refined a batch of blood-clotting pills. You can try one. Yijioga took out a jade bottle and poured out a milky white blood-clotting pill. I'm already fine. Why would I need to eat pills? Eldest miss, you can keep it for yourself. By the way, Lord Bai and Lord Wan often travel outside. What they need the most is this kind of pill. If you send it to them, they will definitely be very happy. Mother Ching felt that since she was staying in the courtyard and did not go out, she could slowly recuperate from her injuries. Eating pills was too wasteful. Yijioga knew that Mother Ching always felt that a servant like her did not deserve to eat good pills. She was very stubborn on this matter. So, he changed his words, this batch of pills is a new formula that I developed. I don't know how effective it is. So, I want you to help me test the efficacy. Test the efficacy? Okay. Mother Ching immediately nodded her head in agreement. Yijioga was afraid that the efficacy was not enough. So, he directly gave her 2 pills. Mother Ching swallowed it without hesitation. She suddenly felt 2 clear springs rising from her dantian. The originally dull pain in her internal organs was so comfortable that it did not hurt at all. Eldest miss, the pills that you refined are too powerful. Mother Ching was old and had suffered countless injuries. So, she was very clear that she would have to lie in bed for at least 1 or 2 months. But, she did not expect that after eating 2 pills from eldest miss, she would actually be fine. It was even more powerful than the best quality blood-clotting pills sold in pharmacies. As long as it's effective. Yijioga was very satisfied with the effect of this pill. She decided to use the small bronze cauldron to refine the detoxification pill for noble consort Shi. However, she was worried that the fat black mouse had already spat once today. She was afraid that it would not be able to spit out anymore. So, she decided to refine it tomorrow. Chapter 107. After dinner, Yijioga sat on the chair and began to think about things. Thinking about how to detoxify Imperial concubine Shi. Thinking about whether the news of Nurse Sue's death had spread. Thinking about the young master of the Gong family who had an eye disease. At this time, Pearl came over with a cup of freshly brewed rose tea and said softly, "Eldest miss, drink tea." Although Mother Ching had recovered after taking the hemostasis pill, Yijioga still asked her to continue to rest in bed and recuperate, so Pearl went into the room to serve. Yijioga took a sip of the rose tea and asked, "What are Master and Madam doing now?" "I heard that Master sent a lot of guards to go door to door to find the corpses of the guards of the Su family. Now 5 have been taken back, and the last one can't be found. Madam is so anxious that she can't even eat," Pearl said with a smile. When the people of Purple Forest Park heard that the people of Ink Garden were not living well, they felt indescribably happy. Yijioga's mouth hooked up, showing a satisfied smile. This was the effect she wanted. She thought that this was enough to damage the face of the Su family and Yi Yuxuan, but she didn't know that Wan Xiang still had a surprise waiting for her. At this time, Zhenzhu said another piece of news. "By the way, eldest miss, this servant heard from a maid in the sprinkling courtyard that the garbage collected from our courtyard has been turned into a mess recently. Many maids in charge of cleaning have been scolded, and their monthly wages have been deducted a lot." Pearl was the child of a family and was very popular in the sprinkling courtyard. Although she was promoted to a maid in Purple Forest Park, she often went back to see her former sisters. She didn't put on airs at all, so everyone liked to talk to her about everything. The entire Yi mansion was cleaned by the sprinkling courtyard. They went out early and returned late. They often saw some strange things and told Pearl as a joke. When Yijioga heard this news, she immediately thought of the person who was watching her in Yi mansion. Could it be that person guessed her movements from the garbage sent out by Purple Forest Park? Yi Jioga pondered for a moment and ordered Pearl, go to the sprinkling courtyard and ask when the garbage has been turned over and if anyone has turned it recently. I know. Pearl nodded. Mother Qing also told her that Ziling Garden was being monitored, so she paid special attention to collecting these clues. You've done well in this matter. After it's done, I'll reward you handsomely. Yi Jioga felt that Pearl really had the talent to be an intelligence agent. It was a pity that she was just a mortal and didn't have spiritual roots. Otherwise, he could have nurtured her well. Thank you, young Mississippi, Pearl smiled happily. The reward was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the first miss did not conceal her appreciation, which made her feel that she was an unusual maidservant. All right, if there's nothing else, you can go now. Yi Jioga looked at the dark sky outside the window and decided to go out for a stroll. Yes. Pearl retreated tactfully. Yi Jioga returned to the inner room and changed into his night clothes. Like a ghost, he evaded the patrolling guards in the manor and sneaked into Yi Yuxuan's study to search for the place where he hid the medical records. At this moment, Zi Shang's lazy voice rang out, left corner. You're awake. Yi Jioga immediately straightened up. Zi Shang had just woken up and was using the soul contract to secretly read Yi Jioga's memories so that he could understand what had happened while he was away. He just happened to read that Yi Jioga wanted to find Yi Yuxuan's medical records, so he casually gave her some pointers. Although Yi Jioga had a lot of questions to ask Zi Shang, she knew that now was not the time. She followed Zi Shang's pointers and walked around the left corner. Sure enough, she found a secret compartment under a floor tile. There was a large brown book and a small red booklet inside. The large booklet recorded Yi Yuxuan's connections. The small booklet recorded his most important clients. The medical record of Gong family's young master, Gong Baiyu, was in it. Yi Jioga carefully flipped through the case and found that Gong Baiyu's illness was indeed very strange. No, it should be said that he had no illness at all. Aside from being unable to see, he didn't feel any discomfort. His pulse was also very healthy and strong, and there were no signs before he lost his sight. This kind of illness without any evidence was the most difficult to treat. Yi Yuxuan didn't dare to randomly prescribe medicine, so he only prescribed a series of medicinal pills to nourish the eyes and liver for Gong Baiyu. The liver governed the eyes, and most eye problems were related to the liver. There was no problem with Yi Yuxuan's prescription. However, the problem was that the liver was of the wood attribute, while Gong Baiyu had an earth spiritual root. Wood restrained earth, so blindly nourishing the liver would only make the wood's spiritual root flourish, and it would instead restrain Gong Baiyu's spiritual power. Yi Yuxuan was treating the symptoms but not the root cause. If Gong Baiyu continued to treat him, he would be crippled sooner or later. However, she couldn't find a way to treat Yi Jioga. Moreover, Yi Yuxuan was a 5th-rank alchemist, while she was only a 2nd rank. Even if she told the Gong family that Yi Yuxuan treated him incorrectly, they might not believe her. This matter still needed to be planned slowly. Fortunately, Yi Yuxuan didn't dare to use too much medicine, so Gong Baiyu wouldn't have any problems for a while. There was still a lot of time for her to consider. After Yi Jioga put the booklet back into the secret compartment, she quietly returned to Purple Forest Park. She was just about to ask Zi Shang about the origins of the small bronze cauldron and the fat black rat when she heard Zi Shang say viciously, "Su Clan's old bastard actually dared to treat you like this." So he had already read the memories of old Master Su taking advantage of his position to bully others. What made him even more furious was that it was Dongfang Ke who brought people to help Yi Jioga. What's the point of saying all this now? Yi Jioga rolled her eyes, showing disdain towards Zi Shang's belated actions. Why is it useless? Zi Shang's voice was gentle, but it was filled with killing intent. The temperature of the entire courtyard instantly dropped. What do you want to do? Yi Jioga suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. Naturally, I want to help you take revenge. Zi Shang's tone was cold, and his killing intent was everywhere. Old man Su is a spirit master, he isn't that easy to deal with. Yi Jioge frowned. This was the human race's territory. If Zishang accidentally exposed himself, it would be troublesome. You don't need to worry about this. Just as Zishang finished speaking, Yi Jioge felt pain from the purple mark on her wrist. She pulled up her sleeve and looked down. She discovered that the purple mark seemed to be on fire, and a snake-shaped purple light shot towards the Su clan. Zishang, don't do anything rash. Yi Jioge yelled in exasperation. Old Master Su was considered to have some status in Shangjing. If something really happened, the Su clan definitely wouldn't let it go. What if they found out that it was her? Don't worry, this sovereign won't kill him. Zishang said calmly. Then what do you plan to do? Yi Jioge couldn't be at ease without asking clearly. You'll know tomorrow. Zishang's voice gradually sank, as if he had gone into hibernation again. Yi Jioge was about to vomit blood. This unreliable demon snake, why did it always cause trouble for her before it went into hibernation? Chapter 108. How could Yi Jioge wait for tomorrow? She used the Yi clan's special signal to summon Yi Yu. After about the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Yi Jioge's window was lightly knocked. She opened the window and there was no one outside. If it was someone else, they would have been scared half to death. Yi Jioge skillfully said, "Come in." Something brushed past the window and then Yi Yu appeared in Yi Jioge's room, revealing a white jade-like beautiful face. "Big miss, why are you looking for me?" Yi Yu had been cultivating and hadn't been summoned by Yi Jioge for a long time. "Help me keep an eye on the Su clan. If anything happens, report to me immediately." Yi Jioge said and then added seriously, "Keep an especially close eye on Old Man Su." Yi Yu was a bit shocked. Although he was in closed-door cultivation, he knew that today was the day Old Man Su was going to hold a banquet to welcome guests. Did Big Miss Yi mean that someone would dare to cause trouble at this time? However, he saw Yi Jioge's serious expression and didn't dare to ask. He nodded and said, "Okay, I'll go now. Be careful, don't let them find you." Yi Jioge said. Although Yi Yu's cultivation had improved a lot, Old Man Su was still a spirit master, so he had to be careful. "Big Miss, don't worry. I know what to do." Yi Yu said and disappeared into the night. That night, Yi Jioge couldn't sleep well. She kept calling out for Zishang in her heart but didn't get any response. Yi Yu didn't come back for the whole night and didn't know what was going on with the Su clan. Before the sun rose, Yi Jioge couldn't lie down anymore. She got up and looked in the mirror to find that her face was unspeakably ugly. Her eyes looked like they had been punched twice. Pearl fetched water and saw Yi Jioge's dispirited appearance. She was shocked and quickly asked, "Big Miss, what's wrong? Didn't you sleep well last night?" "Nothing." Yi Jioge took the warm cloth that Pearl handed over and wiped her face. She was really worried about the Su clan and was thinking whether to look for Dongfang Ke to help her gather information or Wan Xiang. Jinzhu thought that Yi Jioge was worried about the traitor in the Yi mansion, so she said, "Eldest Miss, I went to the sprinkler room last night and asked carefully." During this time, 7th concubine's maidservant, Yuan Yang, often inquired about news in the sprinkler room. She liked to ask about our purple forest garden the most, so they all suspected that it was Yuan Yang who went through the garbage in our yard. 7th aunt? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect it to be her. As a concubine, why didn't she want to fight for power and favor with Su Yufeng? Why did she come to oppose her? Could it be that she was a spy that the Empress had placed in the Yi mansion? I heard that 7th concubine's cultivation base has improved again recently, and she's ready to become an intermediate spiritualist. Jinzhu revealed another piece of gossip. She advanced again. Yi Jioge was shocked. She remembered that 7th aunt had entered the family 2 years ago when she had just become a rudimentary spiritualist. Although her cultivation base had improved a lot with the help of Yi Yuxuan's medicinal pills these years, there should still be a long way to go before she became an intermediate spiritualist. Unless she got a good medicinal pill that could improve her cultivation base while crying. However, with Yi Yuxuan's stingy character, it was impossible for him to give it to her. It seemed that this seventh aunt had a lot of secrets. Yi Jioge was contemplating when the voices of two young maids suddenly came from outside the door. Eldest Miss, slaves Yudi and Hua Dai have something to report. Yudi, Hua Dai. Yi Jioge came back to his senses and thought about it. He remembered that there were indeed two such maids in his courtyard. They were the descendants of the Yun family's elders. Their aptitudes were good. Mother Qing had recently begun to let them train their bodies. Let them in. Yi Jioge ordered Jinju. Yes. Jinju bowed and went out to bring in two young maids who were about 12 years old. The one wearing green clothes was Yudi. Her eyes were quite elegant, and it could be seen that she was a calm and steady person. The one wearing pink clothes was Hua Dai. The corners of her mouth were curved like a smile. At first glance, it could be seen that she was a clever girl. Both of them had very mixed pseudo-spiritual roots. Although they could not advance to spirit practitioner, they had no problem in training their bodies. Slaves Yudi and Hua Dai greet eldest miss. The two maids knelt down and bowed to Yi Jioge. Get up. Yi Jioge signaled Jinju to help the two young maids up. Then he said, our Purple Forest Park does not accept this kneeling ceremony. You two are still young. Don't kneel so easily. Otherwise, your knees will suffer in the future. Yes. Yudi and Hua Dai bowed obediently, but in their hearts, they were very happy. They had long heard that eldest miss was a generous master. Today, it seemed that it was true. You two just said that you had something to report. What is it? Yi Jioge asked. Replying to eldest miss, this slave just heard something from the gatekeeper. It said that a corpse suddenly fell from the sky from Lord Su's house on our street. His family was so scared that they immediately reported it to the authorities. Now, the corpse has been sent to the Ministry of Justice. The people from the Ministry of Justice invited Master to take a look. Needless to say, this corpse was a Su family guard. This Lord Su is really a wonderful person. Yi Jioge couldn't help but laugh. Yesterday, the quarrel between her and old man Su should have been heard by everyone on the street. Everyone else gave face to Yi Yuxuan and returned the corpse of the Su family guard. Only this Lord Su wanted to send it to the Ministry of Justice. Clearly, he wanted to make things difficult for Yi Yuxuan. I heard that Madam is so angry that she is bedridden. These few days, she has been taking medicine to protect her pregnancy. Hua Dai said boldly. The corner of Yi Jioge's mouth hooked up. He didn't have any sympathy. Su Yufeng came back and caused trouble. She deserved to get sick from anger. Jinju, tell the carriage house to prepare a horse for me. I want to make a trip to the Ministry of Justice. Yi Jioge believed that with Wan Xiang there, the matter of the Su family guard would not be easily settled. She could go over and help out. Yes. Jinju nodded and asked, does eldest miss want to bring people out? When Yudi and Hua Dai heard this, their eyes immediately lit up. Let them go out with me. Yi Jioge usually didn't like to bring people out. But now that she thought about it, it was necessary to cultivate some capable trusted aides. Thank you, eldest miss. The two servant girls immediately bowed to Yi Jioge with joy. Eldest miss, do you want to tell Mother Qing? Jinju asked in a low voice. N. Yi Jioge said. These servant girls had always been under Mother Qing's control. She did need to be told. Yes. The two servant girls could already imagine Mother Qing's nagging. They drooped their shoulders and walked out. Yi Jioge suddenly found it a bit funny. It seems that I'm not the only one who is afraid of Mother Qing's nagging. When Yi Jioge was ready to leave, Yudi and Hua Dai walked out of Mother Qing's room. The two of them seemed to have been reprimanded. Their little faces that were full of joy just a moment ago became very calm. They didn't dare to say a word. Yi Jiogo was very satisfied with this. After all, she was going out. It was good for the two servant girls to be more steady. She brought the two servant girls to the carriage and walked towards the Ministry of Justice. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.